digital economy or participate in digital economy has a digital ID number that can identify the person. So two things, interoperability and the digital identity number. They are very crucial in the middle cycle. Once we graduate from there, it's where we can enjoy Industry 4, the AI, the precision agriculture, the algorithm economy, and things like that. So these things are supposed to be considered. And when we design intervention in all these cycles, we have to consider the dimension of inclusiveness to ensure that women and also youth, when we design intervention, we consider them into that. Now, let me show the size of a digital economy, right? From the regional perspective. We have the market of East African community that has that number of people, because digital economy grows or is robust where you have numbers, where you have population. So it's 174 million. The size of the GDP, the collective size is 163.4. These are statistics of last year. The SADC area, which we are the member, is 344 million people, and the GDP is 720. The COMESA area is 768 billion people. There are a number of countries over there. The biggest market in Africa that we are building now is African continental free trade areas of 1.3 billion people and the collective GDP of 1.4 trillion. Why I'm giving these statistics? I'm giving these statistics because when we talk about digital economy, which doesn't have boundaries, our business model or our business plan has to target and conquer these numbers, right? And women, they're supposed to be in the forefront in all those strategies. If we want to build, for example, startups, we have to ensure that we have enough number of women who are participating on that, and they can take advantage of all these markets. Now, when we talk about digital transformation, basically, we talk about three processes. And process number one, you talk about digitization. Digitization is you convert your data to digital formats, and you convert your processes and creating software. This one, we have done it very well. Step number two is digitalization. Digitalization is make sure that your systems are becoming as facilitators, your system are talking to each other. Every single individual is having digital identity numbers, and those are enabling them to work hard. So this is a stage where we are now, and we need to work really hard to ensure that all our systems, they can talk together, and all users of our digital economy, they have single ID number that identify them. The current moment is, we find single user have many numbers that identify them online, which make us not enjoy all the services which are provided in the education sector, in the health sector, in the society, and other things. So the last part is digital transformation. In the digital transformation, you look at a number of few technologies. If one has not reached that level, it's difficult to enjoy AI, for instance, because AI needs some fundamental infrastructure which is available in a country. You need to make sure that you convert your processes to digital format. You have to ensure that all your systems are working together. You need to have your data. You need to have your computation, and also experts who can create algorithms to solve the problem. So digital transformation is stage number 3. And we need to really work hard to ensure that our economy is reached that level, and reaching that level while we include everyone. And women are not supposed to be left behind. So the digital transformation in the context of a nation is to ensure that we have a strategy that enables us to move into all those three stages. And those 3 stages, they have to have the dimension of inclusiveness to make sure that we include everyone into that. Now, there are ways on how you can measure digital transformation. And when I look at this index, I borrowed from Huawei. They have an index where they look at nations and how they've transformed themselves. So stage number 1, which is the bottom line, is the starters. The stage number 2 is adopters, and stage number 3 is front runners. So you'll find that in the step number 1, we have done very well as a country. Step number 2, there's some aspect of the things which we have done fine, but there's a specific things which says when you are in stage number 3 or number 2, ICT should be contributing more in the national GDP. So if you look at that as a yardstick, you'll find that for a long time ICT has been contributing 1.5. So stage number 3 is a total transformation where you find the country enjoys 5G, enjoy big data, AI, and Internet of Things. For these to be work, we need to aim to go to be as a front runner. And the work has to be done into that aspect. There are a lot of things that we do in stage number 2, which is adopters, but we need to look at how we contribute, or our sector can contribute to our digital economy. Now, sectoral share of GDP of Tanzania, of course, this is a statistic that I have of 2 years ago. ICT, which is measured as communication, always is contributing 1.5. Of course, I believe that we are wrongly measured, but that's how things are. So when we'll be in stage number 2, we need to see it jumps from 1.5 and it goes to percentage that we deserve to be contributing. Key metrics of Tanzania that you can use to measure penetration of 3G coverage or above. So in 3G, standing at 66%. Tax to GDP ratio is 12%. Contribution of city national GDP is 1.5. Mobile connectivity is 78%. Rural population is 65. So 65 need to be urban statistics, and then we'll be doing fine. The mobile broadband connectivity is 31%, population is 61. These statistics, they say a lot about our intervention to ensure that we include everyone in the interventions of our digital economy. We can build digital economy when amount of people who are living in urban areas are more. From the current situation, in urban is 35%. So we need to ensure that more people, they come to our urban. The penetration of broadband has to increase from 31% to be a slightly bigger number because most of the interesting applications of digital economy, they require broadband connectivity. And to increase the tax to GDP ratio from 12, for instance, to, let's say, reaching 24, ICT has to play its role in revenue collections and to increase the size or the place where you can correct the taxation. We need to move from 3G to 4G, and if possible, it's 5G. Of course, we have launched 5G already, but the penetration of it has to increase more than that. Now, let's look at the contribution of ICT in a number of countries in the world. If you look at the United States, it's 10% of their GDP, which is equivalent to 2.1 trillion US dollars. So it's almost 1/3 of the total GDP of Africa, coming from only ICT. Of course, their market is bigger. In Great Britain, is 148 billion pounds, and is contributing almost to 7.7%. And South Korea is contributing 10.8%. So our 1.5 should go up. And I think once we are measured properly, maybe we're going to reach 6 or 7. But contribution has to come from all strata of our society. So we need to make sure that everyone is involved into that. Now, when it comes to digital transformation, what is supposed to be done? What is supposed to be done is to digitize core business. So female-led startups, they need to ensure that their core processes are digitized. There must be an infrastructure indiscriminately built to ensure that women are connected to ensure that we build or strengthen digital society and governance. a robust digital economy and to improve access and usage of digital services and the technology. The last point is very key because the digital economy of today needs smartphones, and we need to have strategies or to have business people who can innovate and ensure that the smartphone will become affordable, or people they can get smartphone by loan and things like that. That small device is a key to digital economy that we'll build of today. Now, there are 5 pillars when one is talking about digital transformation, like the way I said before. So pillar number 1, when we want to make sure that women are participating in digital economy, we need to ensure that digital skills is available everywhere. And when we talk about digital skills, we normally look at 3 layers. There's a basic skills of digital, there's a intermediate skills, and the advanced skills. So we need to ensure that we work on that area to ensure that all women are included in this digital economy. And when we talk about that, we talk about e-services, innovative services, digital skills in digital services and systems. So people need to have skills on how to use systems, to design the systems, and also to use e-services in their daily life. Another pillar is the pillar of digital security and trust. Women should trust first the digital space, and the digital space has to be secure for them to be able to build their business, to be able to use the systems and things like that. And when we talk about that, we need to build security capability for women. We have to work to ensure that electronic identity and trust services are used. And the issue of consumer protection, which is very clear for women, has to be there. The issues of data protection, I can see the Director General of Data Protection Authority is in here. And to protect users from harmful content. Harmful content, they can make one hate online platforms, and at the same time, one may not participate in the digital economy. Other pillar is telecommunication services. So to ensure that telecommunication services they can reach all people indiscriminately. So women has to be considered in that aspect. Then there is what we are looking at there is the issue of interoperability bus to ensure that the services, they can talk to each other, deployment of IP version 6, and promoting digital communication networks in that respect. Then there's the digital economy itself as a pillar, which is supposed to be looked at the administration transformation. And this is looking at all those services that they touch anybody when they are designing, when they are provided, to ensure that we look at the dimension of inclusiveness so that anyone can be able to use, for example, data, which are most of the time residing in the government, for their own innovation. That's why we're promoting things like regulatory sandbox that allow people to test their products in the data which is residing in the government. So in digital economy and the decision transformation, we look at service platforms, finance and taxation, machine translation and language technologies, open public administration, where people will be able to use the data that are residing in the government to innovate and to create systems that will enable them to, make their business. Support public administration technologies, promoting digitization of business, digitization process and revenue collections. Then there's a dimension of innovation, which is very important in the digital economy of today, because if one is not innovating in digital economy, it will be very difficult for one to survive for a long time. So this is a crucial part to ensure that women are given skills and they are empowered and enabled to be able to do innovation to commercialize their services and products. And in this respect, we are looking at promoting human resource development and establishing the regulatory sandboxes. These are very crucial, and the regulators have to look at the dimension of inclusiveness to ensure that women who are innovating their products, they are able to access data, and those data will enable to build their products so well. Now, there are these statistics that have shown on how things are. For example, when it comes to companies that are using AI, machine learning, and deep learning in Africa. Tanzania is there in the picture, but I'm very sure that if you look at those companies that are using, you might find that there's a gender gap over there. So I've tried to show that AI is used in Africa, and it's used in many countries. And from this conference, you'll see that there are a number of startups already existing, like the Kitonga AI and other people who are going to present in here, that are using AI to innovate and provide products which are very useful to many people. I've put this slide to encourage you that it's easy to use AI to innovate and creating products which are useful and which will enable you to build your company. Then I'm always interested with agri-tech, because if you look at the statistics, most of Tanzanians, they're employed in this sector. And in agri-tech space, Tanzania is there. It's very crowded. There are a lot of companies. There are rooms for innovation, and women, I think, if they take advantage, they are going to gain a competitive advantage more in this area. Because in the world now, we know there are two challenges only. There's a challenge of food security and challenge of cybersecurity. So this is very crucial. This shows that these things can be done. I'm encouraging women to ensure that they innovate and participate in agriculture, because our population is growing, and because our population grows, people need to eat, and also our neighbors are depending on us as food basket of this region. So there are a lot of things that can be done in that area for to innovate and ensure that we build a lot of companies in this area. Thank you very much.
Yes, very good. Another round of applause for Dr. Mwasaga. That was not only a very, very insightful presentation, but also an education to some of us, especially those who are not in the ICT sector like myself, though I work in the sector for the past 20-something years. Next now, we are now going for our first panel discussion. As we know, Dr. Mwasaga's presentation was supposed to be a catalyst or to pave way for the upcoming panel discussion. The first panel discussion will be on unleashing imaging technologies in the digital transformation for job creation and socioeconomic development. May I invite the moderator of this session, my dear sister and able sister Lillian Madeje, to call her panelists and introduce them. Glad to have you here. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Habari za asubuhi. Kama nilivyotambulishwa, jina langu ni Lillian Sechelela Madeje, ni mwanzilishi wa kampuni inaitwa Niajiri Platform. Na sisi tuko kwenye, I think one of the points that Dr. Nkundo spoke about is how to use human resources. So we are actually in the cross-section of using technology for human capital development. We upskill entry-level talent to enter the marketplace, but at the same time, we provide a technology tool for employers to access top talent. Kwa siku hii ya leo, I will be using English, but I will be mixing between the two languages just in conversation. I have the pleasure of having moderating a panel titled Unleashing Emerging Technologies in the Digital Transformation for Job Creation and Socioeconomic Development. So just to set the stage, I was like, what does this actually mean? It's a big word. Like, what does it mean to break it down? So I decided to use artificial intelligence, aka Akili Bandia, to try and demystify what this word says. So I gave it a prompt to say what is this particular topic and explain it to a 7-year-old. So this is what Chat GPT came back with me. So it says to explain the concept of unleashing emerging technologies in the digital transformation for job creation and socioeconomic development to a 7-year-old, you might say. Okay, imagine you have some amazing new toy and gadgets that can do really cool things, like super fast robots, magic computers, and talking cars. Now, grown-ups and very smart people use these special things to make our world better. They use them to create new jobs, like people who fix and control these magic creatures or machines. They also use them to make our lives better, like making sure we have good schools, hospitals, and lots of yummy good food. So when we talk about unleashing emerging technologies, it means taking these cool gadgets and toys to do helpful things for everyone, like creating more jobs and making sure we all have a good life with great schools, hospitals, and tasty food. It's like making our world even more amazing with the help of these fantastic tools. So in describing or having an in-depth discussion about this, I would like to call onto the stage amazing group of ladies, some that I've been had the pleasure of knowing for a couple of years in this space of ICT development and startups, and some that I get to interact with today. Please, hand of applause to the stage. I'd like to call Carol Ndosi, founder of Launchpad. Just have a seat. Next to that, Dr. Lilian Mutalemwa from the Open University of Tanzania. On my panel, I also have Esther Mengi, the CEO of Serensic Africa. And last but not least is Juanita Mrengo from NMB. And all right, Juanita Mrengo for NMB. Okay. All right, so trying to figure out if I'm about to sit down with y'all. I think I'm too many chairs. Let me come and have a feeling. All right, asante. So maybe to start us off, it's going to be a quick 1-minute introduction. Whereby you're going to tell us who you are, and then I would like to get your, I've used artificial intelligence to tell me what this means, so I want your observation of what this topic means to you. What does unleashing emerging technologies in this space mean to you? So a little bit, your name, what you do, and how you do aligns with the particular topic. Karibu Esther.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So my name is Mrs. Esther Mengi. I'm the CEO for Serensic Africa. By profession, I'm a cybersecurity expert. So it's quite an honor being here. I remember 7 years ago, it was the first TAIC, first annual TAIC. I was on this very same stage. And I'm so happy being here again 7 years later. So this is to show that there are startups that start in tech and continue in tech. So I'm happy to come in front of you and be an inspiration to the young ones that I'm seeing over there and to others like me or even more experienced than me. So thank you so much.
Doctor?
Good morning. Good morning. Very nice to see you all here, especially the young girls, students. I see a lot of you here, so this is very good. Making sure that you come here and participate and you hear the good things about this conference is really exciting. I always get very excited when I see girls getting involved with engineering and ICT things. So, big up. Yes, so this is Dr. Lilian Mutalemwa from the Open University of Tanzania, and I am an engineer, and I am focusing at the university right now. I am the coordinator at the unit where we use ICT, but specifically for people with disabilities. So we have blind people, we have deaf people who are using ICT just like those who can see. Yes, and I think this goes very well with the topic we are going to discuss here. And I hope that we will be hearing nice things and the girls will participate. Make sure you ask a question, girls. If you leave here without asking a question, then I want to see hands up asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jamani, tupo kweli? Tupo? Tupo? Mimi kusema za kweli sijazoea this kind of energy. And I was trying to tell Lillian, I'm like, oh my God, this energy is just, na tumekunywa chai. Jamani, wanawake? Wanawake? Much, much better. My name is Carol Ndosi. I am the founder and executive director of the Launchpad Tanzania. We are a not-for-profit organization that started in 2018 with a focus first primarily just on contributing to education reforms, but as well as skills development and bridging the gap between youth and employment opportunities as well as job creation. But in 2019, I think 2018 to 2019, we evolved as an organization and started our arm specifically dedicated to digitalization called LP Digital, which has been making a lot of noise for the past 3 years, if I may say so myself. But it's also very, very, very great to be back on this very stage because in March, we held the very first Women in Tanzania Technology Conference. So this is like a repeat of that, especially for seeing, you know, some of the sheroes that I have featured in a 100 Tanzania Sheroes book. Esther is one of them, as well as Lillian from 2018, I think. So it's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the discussion and sharing insights from the programs that we run as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Carol, starting us off, you know, you started with holding the first Women in Tech conference. You have been working within the space of technology and with LP Digital. I know there's a couple of cohorts that you're doing specifically for women, yeah. And you are within the space of Women in Tech Forum, etc. What, from your perspective, what are some of the unique opportunities or challenges have you actually come across when you look at women in tech industry in Tanzania? And maybe so can you share with us some of your insights and, you know, then pulling it back to the discussion, how emerging technologies, AI, you know, machine learning, blockchain can actually help empower more women in tech in Tanzania.
Right. Thank you so much. So I think I'll start from the experience that we had, because as an organization, we're also part of this regional network called Women at Web. And it started in 2017, supported by DW Academy and BMZ. And at first, when we got involved as an organization, the primary focus was safe online spaces for women, because it was identified through their research that it was one of the areas that was not really being addressed, at least not, you know, to its magnitude. So we focus a lot on safe online spaces, so capacity building, on digital resilience for women, but also, you know, reeling in the journalist and the media sector as well to really speak about and amplify whatever that is going on online spaces. But we realized as an organization that we cannot be speaking about safe online spaces without talking about, one, the opportunities that exist on online spaces, but secondly, how do we get women on board? So women's digital inclusion became another one of our primary focus, and that's why we actually evolved to LP Digital. Now, before going into the opportunities, because we do have quite a number of them, you know, drawing from the programs that we're running right now, I'll speak on the challenges, and this is from some of the recommendations that we received on this very stage when we did the Women in Tech conference in March. Right now, when you look at the ecosystem, and we were having this discussion, you know, just before we came on stage, when you look at the representation of women is quite, I don't even know what the word to use, but to me it's discouraging. And I remember sharing with Dr. Nkundwe that we actually have a database of 160-something women who have registered to a database, but women in ICT professions. However, when we do share any opportunities to this database, the ones who actually show up are possibly a quarter of that, database. So personally, I feel, and of course this is coming from a woman as well, the first challenge that we have seen and observed as an organization, but also as an individual, is the readiness and mindset of women, first to get into, the tech industry, tech sector, to embrace the opportunities, but even when they do get there, to amplify their stories. So I'm really, honored to share the stage with, this kind of women that actually speak, they talk about their journey, they share their experiences, and in turn now inspire the younger generation to take part. The other challenge that I would speak about would be the opportunities and basically the environment that exists. And I'm glad to see UNDP here, Fungua program, because I know it's one of their focus areas, supporting women entrepreneurs in the tech industry. However, there is not enough funding. We currently run a She-Tech incubator because one of the other recommendations that we received through the conference was there aren't enough women innovators designing digital products specifically for women. And if you look at the digital products that exist right now and their mobile apps, and the adoption rate is quite low. So we also did a study to show through the incubation program, like what kind of apps exist that are specifically targeting women, and what is their uptake, what is the user journey, and what are women doing, women innovators doing to improve that space. So I would say that the other challenge is actually creating spaces, sandbox spaces that women can actually innovate, try and fail until they get it, right. Lastly, because I'm conscious of time, the other challenge is the funding. And I realize that the other panel, or the coming panel, will speak about this. But it's quite discouraging to see that even when the funding programs, or for example, the donor-funded programs, when they pull out a call for proposal, and they try to be deliberate in terms of, recruiting 50% of women innovators or women startups, they do not reach that number. And we are yet to get the data. And we did even see Dr. Nkundwe gave us, sorry, but I have to call him out on that, but he gave us data from 2016, he gave us data from whatever. So we don't have data. That's the other challenge that we're facing in the industry or in the ecosystem right now. How many women startups do we have in Tanzania? How many women in ICT, do we have in Tanzania? How many women digital solutions do we have in Tanzania? All this data could actually be factored into improving the ecosystem and what we see as a promising future ahead. I would like to yield the mic now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that great opener. So sandboxes, I think I'm going to come later in terms of the different studies you've done and possible recommendations. But funding, data is king. Data is king. Dr. Lilian Talemwa, aka Jina Mwenza, Wajina. So, you brought us in terms of the program that you're working on right now, inclusivity, right? So I would like to hear more from you. I think that's one of the things when we're talking about emerging technologies and we are designing apps and we're designing solutions, etc. I don't think we are as inclusive as we should be. So maybe can you talk us through what are some of the things that your current program is doing and to actually bridge that digital divide when it comes to ensuring that every person actually has access?
Thank you, Wajina. Yes, so the Open University of Tanzania is very much committed in making sure that when we talk about digital transformation and inclusiveness, we do not leave behind those with disabilities. The gap is still large. We have a big gap, and every time we get to interact with people and communicate with people and say that we are training blind people to use computer, to use smartphones, many people are like, what? How is that possible? This shows that there is a big gap between what those with disabilities are doing with ICT and those with their disabilities. maybe I can share a very short story to show you how big the gap is. So earlier this year, we decided that maybe we should use social media to market the program that we are doing, training people with disabilities to use ICT. And so we created a poster and we distributed it to, we used social media, and my phone number was there. You know, if you want to know more, you can contact Dr. Lillian for more information. And many people were calling to ask about the service. But the first question that people were asking is this real? You know, we think it's a fraud, or somebody just made this post for other reasons. We do not believe it. That was the first question from many people. Like, how can a blind person use a computer? How is that possible? And I was just responding to them that it's very possible. And it is actually happening here at our unit. So we have programs that we are, the main focus of our work is to bridge the gap, the digital divide, so that maybe slowly, but somehow we will get there, you know, like have blind people also getting involved, where you will be seeing ICT professionals meeting and discussing issues, and also people with disabilities will be there. You will be having blind people, deaf people, and just in this conference, I came with some of my students and some of the tutors, and maybe I can ask them to stand up so you can see the ICT professionals who have disabilities. Niliokuja nao, wanafunzi na walimu. These are just representatives. We could not bring all of them. But you can see on my left, the two on my left are deaf. So we have a sign language interpreter there, translating and interpreting everything that we are saying here. And the three are blind. They cannot see. But they are very good ICT professionals. We have trained them, and they are using computers, smartphone, tablets, and so many other assistive technologies. And they are even searching for information on the internet, you know. Maybe one day, actually I communicate with them using emails and WhatsApp, you know, like tomorrow, can you train this to the students using email, using WhatsApp? We have a WhatsApp group that we are using to communicate. And to many people, this is still strange. Many people still don't believe that this is happening, but it is happening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lillian. I think, you know, we have ICT professionals, but then also just for those in the area of designing these technologies. It's a reminder that how are you making sure that those who are interacting with your technology are also not divided. Somebody who cannot see can actually hear. Somebody who cannot hear has other, you know, things that they can actually interact with. So thank you about that and what you're doing. And I'll come back to you with some extra follow-up questions. But yeah, Esther, I like the fact that you were on this same stage 7 years ago. 7 years ago, and now here you are. You're in a field that is looked at as male-dominated. You know, Dr. Nkundo shared with us matrix, and we're seeing that in terms of data, is it either 22 or 28% of women who are actually in the space of AI. How did you survive, not survival, but you know, like what were some of your tools in actually ensuring that you secure your position and continue growing? But the direct question that I want to get from you is, as a female cybersecurity expert in Tanzania, can you share your perspectives on how you see the space of emerging technologies are helping to address security just across the board?
Thank you, and I'd like to answer the first question immediately. So how did I get here? How did I survive the industry? So there are two things, I would group them into two things that make people not survive, especially ladies in tech, not survive the industry. I'm going to say them in Kiswahili. One, kuto kujiamini, na two, kuto kuaminiwa. Yeah? Kuna kujiamini. Kujiamini is when you believe in yourself and you know you can do it, you have this, it's in you. And there's another that's people tell you that you can't do it, you can't do it. So it becomes your reality. So it's been our culture for years not to see women doing anything, let alone working. So now that we have working class women, finding women in tech becomes very unusual. So you might hear, even in families, people asking you, what are you studying for? Unasomea nini? Nataka kuwa cyber security, blah, 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 ama network administrator. Wanakwambia, hicho kitu hakiwezekani. There's no such thing, yeah? So when you're described so many times, it becomes your reality. So that's unfortunate. So for me, I had one, I'm a very confident person. So one, I believe in myself so much, no matter what other people think of me. And two, I grew up in a home whereby my father has only 2 daughters, me and my sister, and he made us believe that we can do anything that we wanted. So if there's an experiment we want to do, he'll convert one room into a lab and tell us, do your thing over there. So apart from that, I'm a mother of 4, 3 ladies and 1 boy. Being that, I have a very supportive partner that makes me participate fully in my career without saying, oh, no, you don't need to attend to such conferences. Why do you have to travel so much? Why is this so important? Why don't you sit at home and look after the 4 babies? So most of the women start in tech but don't end in tech. Why? Because you might find by the time they go to become officers or they start their jobs, they're not married, they don't have kids, so it becomes easier. So after they are married and after they start having kids, there's that change in dynamics. One, the office stops giving that lady more opportunities, or after taking a break from the career and coming back, the ladies feel left out. So they opt on other options, maybe kufungua duka, kufungua saluni, and divert from the tech industry. So the second question was, so as a female cybersecurity expert, one, I would like to see more like me. That's my goal. I want to see more cybersecurity experts. And I want cybersecurity to be one of the subjects that we speak openly. Because you'll find in most of these digital transformation conferences, workshops, people skip cybersecurity because they don't understand it. It's not like it's not crucial. It is crucial. Now that you want everybody to be connected, talking to everybody, we have different devices. People need to know how to stay safe in those platforms, how to safely use their devices. Teenagers, youngsters are supposed to be taught on how to be safe in those platforms, because social media is the only platform where a 13-year-old and a 70-year-old interact unregulated. So how do they keep themselves safe? So now, yes, we are saying digital economy, we want to do this and do that, but how are we keeping our people safe? So I would like to encourage our young girls over here that there is a field called cybersecurity, and it's an interesting one. Don't be scared to pursue it because you love it, I promise.
Thank you. A hands of applause. And it's in actually, I think it's in seeing possible role models that you can look up to. So the fact that you have Esther and there's so many others, I truly do suggest, going through Shiro's, the books, and you're seeing different women who are doing different amazing things across the board. Carol, I'm coming back to you. And I did mention I was going to come back. I like the fact that, Esther spoke about the social dynamics that we do not look at when you're looking at women and ICT, and the fact that the people that actually trust you or give you that confidence from being at home, your husband, your father, your mother, to the environment in terms of at workplaces. I want to switch, and I know you write a lot. I do read your articles.
I try.
Yes, you try. You know, I want to switch into the aspect of policies. And why policies? Specifically, you did mention, you know, towards your first question in terms of data that is available and some of the studies that you have been doing as part. So when we look at the larger scale, we might talk all we can, but what are the actionable things that could be done that we can say we have an enabling environment? So what policy recommendation, could be one, just, you know, or two, do you have to the government in order to promote inclusivity in the tech industry as relates to women specifically?
Thank you so much, Lillian. First, I'd like to commend the ICT Commission and the Ministry, of course, for working finally on the ICT Policy 2016, because to be honest, for some of us in the ecosystem, it was quite frustrating that we had a policy that was not really reflecting the current times, not even to mention, you know, the emerging technologies that are coming out right now. So when the newly drafted ICT policy came out, as an organization, the first thing that we did was go through it and we're like, no, it's still not speaking to women's digital inclusion. Because, first of all, the 2016 one, as much as it had sort of like a section on gender and implementation strategies on reaching to, they call them minority groups, yeah? But they didn't mention anywhere the word women. So that itself was a danger, because the issue of gender was being looked at from what we call like a general overview and not necessarily taking into consideration the specific context that comes with, example, with women's digital inclusion, with youth's digital inclusion. So the first thing that we did was try to see what was working in terms of the work that we were doing, and see now what the direction was when it came to the digital transformation in Tanzania, but also taking into consideration where the women are right now. One of the policy recommendations that we specifically outlined in our recommendations to the ministry, which have been accepted, so we thank them very much, was how they can bring on board or be deliberate on, for example, women's inclusion in the digital economy, taking into account AFCFTA. So digital skills for women, be deliberate in terms of what we're going to do when it comes to e-commerce. How are we onboarding people onto the e-commerce platforms, but also how are we reaching different diverse groups? And I'll tell you why that is very important. When we did the Women in Tech ICT conference in March, we had like a whole room full of women in ICT and across the tech industry. However, we were somehow excluding the larger group of women who were outside and wanting to learn about what was going on in the digital economy, how can they get on board, whatever. So even in the policy, what we did try to suggest is to have different kind of interventions that would be reaching to different diverse groups, because karo wa Dar es Salaam sio karo wa Tandahimba, sio karo wa Rumeru. So as the government and as the ministry, they need to be cognizant of the fact that the limitations and barriers that I face as a woman, we call them woman A, B, and C. As a woman C in Dar es Salaam is not the same as woman A in rural Sumbawanga. As long as woman A is still, look at me code switching, I hope that's not a problem, yeah? But looking at woman A and how now she is a big player in, for example, agriculture, and how she can be, you know, onboarded into the digital economy in a way that whatever trader in South Africa or Nigeria can actually, you know, get to her and trade with her. So what we have recommended in terms of policy is for them to be more deliberate, to have clear implementation strategies and objectives, as well as actionable items. Because what we felt was lacking in the first draft was, it was very, again, for lack of a better phrase, very general. It wasn't really giving us like a roadmap on how exactly we're going to arrive, for example, at I know the ministry is singing about, you know, reaching 85% connectivity across the country by year 2025. But how exactly are we going to get there? That was not quite clear in terms of the roadmap, especially considering, digital skills, digital literacy, but even looking at the infrastructure. Dr. Nkundwes mentioned something about, digital usage and access. So you look at, for example, data affordability right now, and how now that is an impeding factor for women to get online, but even when they get online, to stay online. Because you can get online, but you can't stay online, and in the end, that's not meaningful connectivity. So, yeah, there are a couple of things that we have suggested, but in terms of being deliberate, they need to have really actionable items to say, this is how we're going to do it. And to say the truth, they do have the resources. If you look at the Digital Tanzania project that's supported by the World Bank, it's quite succinct, but it's quite clear in terms of what they want to achieve, how they're going to reach women. Now it comes to how we're going to translate whatever that we put on paper to actually, actionable items on the ground.
Right. Thank you so much for that. So, clear implementation strategy, specification. Let's bring it down. Let's not have 8 or so. Like, what's that 1, 2, 3, and like a clear roadmap that takes us there. All right, Dr. Lillian, so I'm going to do the last round of questions, and then we're going to do the last, this is the second last round of questions. But Dr. Lillian, do you have any, you spoke about digital divide and some of the programs that are run at Open University of Tanzania, but for the specification of trying to understand what are some of other nations or other countries doing, can you share with us, some examples or some experiences of what is being done in other countries within the space of bridging digital divide when it comes to emerging technologies?
Yes, actually, that reminds me, a few months ago, I went to a conference, it's called Inclusive Africa Conference. And at that conference, there were many officials from different parts of the world coming there, and we were just discussing 2 things: people with disability and digital assistive technologies. For 3 days, those were the 2 things that we were discussing there. And we were lucky enough to have big tech companies, including Google and Microsoft. And they were there presenting what solutions they have for people with disabilities to make sure that, as we say, we are on the digital transformation phase, and we are moving towards digital economy in African countries. We do not leave behind these people with disabilities. So it was an opportunity to get to learn what other countries are doing. And actually, there were about 6 innovations there that were made in African countries. There was a wheelchair that is powered by solar, and there were other innovations that used AI, for example, for the deaf. In the deaf community, many times when a parent is deaf, they tend to let their children be the interpreter. Like when they want to communicate with someone, they will have their children there to try to, explain what the parent is saying. Now imagine if you are the parent and you are sick, when you're sick, sometimes it's something private, and you have to go to the doctor, and someone to communicate what is wrong with you is your child. How would that feel? So this was one of the challenges that was presented there. Like for deaf people, they always have to be with an interpreter to help them communicate with other people. And sometimes things are personal, things are private. How do you solve a challenge like that? So many countries were trying to see how they can address that challenge using AI. So, for example, there was one institution that came with an innovation that you do not need an interpreter. You can just talk to the phone, and then the phone will use AI solutions, and it will be able to, do the two-way conversation. So that was very good, actually. The deaf community liked it very much. But something that was not very nice is that from Tanzania, it was just me at the conference, you know. You have Microsoft, you have Google CEOs there discussing issues and, you know, like how we can be more inclusive, how we can use technologies to make sure that we all go together, you know. Anybody can become, can get a disability at some point, you know. But if we are not prepared, it means even for ourselves, we are not prepared, you know. Maybe sometime you might get an accident and then you cannot see anymore. And you had a chance to do something about it, you know. So these were the kind of discussions that were going on there, and there were many innovations, and many were interesting. Yes, and hopefully maybe in the coming conferences, more participants will be going there from Tanzania, and maybe together we can think about an innovation, maybe from Tanzania also, because Kenya had their own, Botswana had their own, Nigeria had their own, you know. So I came back home and I was like, you know, I have to find somewhere where I can say this, and, you know, maybe someone will hear me and they'll think about it too, you know. Yes.
That is Dr. Lillian saying, anybody out there who's listening, we need to make sure that we have innovators who are going, but then also in terms of the support that comes along. Thank you so much for sharing your insights there, but more so what can be done in order to continue bridging that digital divide gap. Esther, when we started the discussion with you, you kind of started deep diving into something that I wanted to really now get your perspective with regards to cybersecurity, data, innovation. From your perspective, when you look at Tanzania, what are some key cybersecurity challenges that you see? Maybe if you can help us in breaking down top 3 that you're seeing, and much more important than that is, you know, how can we go about combating that? As specifically, we are in that digitalization. We are all going through that journey. Tunaenda wote, ndo tunaenda. Sasa tunafanyaje kuweza kuensure kwamba, you know, we are cognizant and we're putting in place the right mitigations.
And if I was able to speak in capital letters, I would have spoken this in capital letters. One is the Cybersecurity Act of 2015. We need to amend our Cybersecurity Act. It's way overdue. There are so many things that have changed from 2015 to now, so many new policies that need to be included there, so many things that need to be changed. So if the one thing that I would ask and kindly ask from the government is to amend the Cybersecurity Act, yeah? So to be in line with all the other strategies that are current in the country. Because we're speaking of digital transformation, we're speaking of a digital economy, and we're still relying on a Cybersecurity Act of 2015. So my appeal to the government is we amend the Cybersecurity Act. Number 2 will be, I wouldn't say equality. I would like to call it equal access, yeah? Both ladies and men, we all want a seat at the table. Seat to discuss matters that are dear to our country. One of the issues would be cybersecurity. So I'm not saying that you favor us women, but I'm saying you give us the equal opportunity that you give to men. And let us prove ourselves, yeah? And cybersecurity is broad and sounds scary. So the first thing we'll need to tackle is to educate people on the basic ICT skills. It could start from primary school level, even nursery level. They need to see what a computer looks like. They need to interact with it more often for them to want to pursue that career. You might find that most people came across IT or digital devices when they're in college, yeah, or when they're in high school. But there are people in villages, if they are given access or if they are shown what a computer looked like, what a device with internet looked like, maybe they would have pursued a career in tech. Yeah? So we have a role to play in making sure that digital skills becomes one of the top learned subject from an early stage level. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Esther. And in closing us off, I think I'm going to ask this question to everybody, and Esther, you'll start off. I want it to be practical. So holding you accountable in front of all of these guys, what are the things that you can commit in doing within the space of emerging technologies? So yes, you have raised it to the government in terms of educating on basic ICT skills, definitely equal access, having a seat on the table, not because we're just given, because we're good at what we do and just to have that particular seat, as well as a request for a review of the Cybersecurity Act. But in your own capacity as Esther, as in your environment, what's that one thing that you can commit in doing in order to say that more women or more girls can actually have access in the space of cybersecurity in your space?
Thank you. And you have asked that question at a very right time. So part of the thing that we do as a company, we offer trainings, different trainings, cybersecurity trainings, and general IT trainings. So now we have come up with a program whereby we train women and SMEs on digital security and digital safety. So the program is free to attend. We're going to have...
Guys, are you listening? Free to attend.
It's free to attend, and we're going to have it from 23rd to 26th at 4 points. So I would love to see more youth and more women attend and know how can they stay safe online. What does it mean? What does data privacy mean? And if they're aware of the new Data Protection Act, and how does it involve them? So it would be really nice to see young women and youth being educated on their safety and security.
Where can they apply registration and everything? Quick one.
So there's a link. I think I'll share with it later, then it can be put there.
Okay. Whoever's in charge, we're going to share a link, and we'd like it to be put maybe during lunchtime so that people can actually register for that one. Dr. Lillian, over to you. What is that one thing you're going to hold yourself accountable in ensuring that in your space it's about inclusivity in general, but yeah, so inclusivity in the space of bridging the digital divide?
Yeah, maybe can I answer this one in Swahili?
Ndiyo, karibu.
Nataka the young girls wanisikie vizuri. Wanasema Kiingereza kilikuja na meli.
Ilikuja na meli. Tunajitahidi sasa hiyo kungenacho.
Yes. Kwa hiyo sisi pale kwenye unit yetu ambako tunatoa training zinaendelea, na kitu kizuri zaidi ni kwamba it is free. Yani the hitaji unalo au tuseme the kigezo tunachokitumia kwa mtu kujoin training yetu ni kwamba awe na disability. If you have a disability, you are allowed to come and attend the training free of charge. Kwa hiyo tutaendelea na hiyo ili kuhakikisha kwamba wengi wenye changamoto hizi, cha kusikitisha ni kwamba wakati mara nyingi tunakutana nao na wengi wanakuwa wametokea kwenye familia duni. Ya unakuta wale wenye disabilities labda wakati mwingine hawawezi kuwa na funding ya kuweza kumlipia labda akae boarding mahali, au ni kwa sababu sisi tu training yetu tunaitoa bure, lakini hatuna boarding, hatuna majengo ya kuwaweka na nini. Na pia wakati wa kusafiri ni unakuta mtu mwingine anatokea mbali kweli kweli, alafu ni mtu asiyeona. Fikiria usafiri wetu ulivyo hapa Dar es Salaam, alafu unamwambia mtu atoke Bunju, atoke Tegeta, atoke Kibaha, ni mtu asiyeona, aje kuattend training pale kila siku ili aweze kuelewa vizuri, attendance iwe nzuri. Kwa hiyo unakuta tunakutana na challenges nyingi, na sisi tunajaribu pia kushirikiana, kuwashirikisha serikali na nini tupate support. lakini pia labda tutajitahidi zaidi kuonyesha kwamba kuna umuhimu wa kufanya collaborations zaidi na makampuni mengine makubwa ambayo yako tayari kusaidia. Kwa kweli tunaona kwamba yapo makampuni makubwa kama Google, kama Microsoft, wako tayari kusaidia vijana wa Kiafrika kuweza kujikwamua kiuchumi, pia hata kiuchumi, digital economy kwa wale wenye ulemavu. Kwa hiyo sisi tutaendelea kuongeza nguvu kwenye kuweka awareness ya hayo mambo na kushirikiana na serikali ili tuweze kuwezesha program yetu hii.
Asante Dr. Lillian. And last but not least, Carol, what are you tasking yourself?
Allow me to answer this twofold. So first, as an individual, I commit to continue amplifying and telling the stories of women is something that I've been doing since 2017. We did a documentary on women in technology in Tanzania that was released in March. We did another short video, sort of like a mini documentary in 2018 as well, doing the same. We're looking forward to doing another one next year, but also we have this really nice sort of like YouTube limited series called Wanawake na Digitali, Tanzania Women Digital Slayers. And what we do is basically we feature women who are thriving in digital spaces so that other people can also learn. But as an organization, we stay committed to pushing for more capacity building programs. So digital skills, we run a Digital Tanzania program that trains women. Every 3 months, we take in 36 women who come in and take courses in coding, digital marketing, content creation, as well as UX and UI design, but also recognizing that we need more women in those spaces as well. But also advocacy and awareness that could actually, you know, address the issues of mindset change, but as well as representation of women in these particular sectors. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. A hand of applause to my amazing panel. Hapana, kwa kweli sikubali. A hand of applause. Naomba tupige makofi yanayoeleweka. Ongeza sawa to my amazing panel. Asanteni sana. We can have our seats.
Haya, na mimi naomba makofi kwa moderator dada Lili kwa kazi nzuri, Lilian Sechelela Madeje kwa kazi nzuri aliyofanya. Thank you very much, Lily, for the good moderation. Next now, nimeambiwa hapa kwanza kuna watu wanaogopa hata kuchangia kutoka kwenye public. I'm told the rest of us are feared to speak because maybe English could be challenging. I doubt whether that is the reason, but I'm sure the next session na sisi tutashiriki pia ambao tumekaa huku. Now I have the honor I'm the honor to invite an inspirational talk, Woman as a Leader in Global Startup Landscape. And we'll have two speakers in which I have Elias Patrick who will moderate this session. If I may invite Elias Patrick, please, to do the honors of inviting the speakers to speak. And we have half an hour. So kindly we have lunch ahead of us and another session between us and lunch. So please, time will be critical. Karibu.
Asante sana. Makofi kwa MC. Habarini za mchana. Habarini za mchana. Tunaweza tukasimama? Tusimame sasa. Sisi ni vijana. So upande huu kuanzia kwa Dr. Mwasaga hapo, upande huu sawa? Nataka mrudie maneno haya, sawa? Tanzania ya kidijitali, alafu upande ule mtamalizia inawezekana, sawa? Sawa? 1, 2, 3. Tena wapi wameshinda jamani? Basi makofi kwa wote. Mnaweza mkakaa sasa. Mnaweza mkakaa. Thank you so much, ladies and more ladies and few gentlemen in the room. It's my privilege to moderate this inspirational conversation, sort of it. We are going to have two different experiences, from Estonian to Tanzanian. We already saw Esther and And I know a few of you, oh, I haven't introduced myself. Okay, I'm Elias Patrick. I know you guys know me as a robot. I'm not a robot, I'm a human being. And a few of you, you know me as an AI, but I can guarantee you I'm a human being. That's why I started by speaking Swahili. So, msiniogope jamani, mimi sio robot. Wangapi mnafahamu Kitonga AI? Aha, wachache. Aha, sawa, mheshimiwa pale anafahamu. So, ni mkurugenzi wa Tech Forward Tanzania, na tutakuwa na muda mzuri sana wa kushare juu ya practical skills za namna tunavyoweza kutumia Kitonga AI. So, without wasting time, I asked the Kitonga area because I'm about to introduce someone here, and I actually asked the AI to teach me some Estonian, and I'm sure I'm going to make it. So I have learned these two words. The first word is tere. Tere. Nitawafundisha ki-Estonia. Tere maana yake ni habari au ujambo. Sawa. Turudie wote, sema tere. Tere. So, and the second one was, tunaunganisha sasa mawili. Ukitaka kumkaribisha mgeni wa kizungu kutoka Estonia, unasema tere turemasti. Tere turemasti, manake you are welcome, au karibu. Sawa jamani? So, hayo ni maneno mawili nimejifunza leo ya ki Estonia. Wangapi tunafahamu lugha ya Estonia? Wachache? Okay, so without wasting time, I would love to introduce to you the CEO of, my pronunciation is a bit shit, but I hope you are going to understand. So she will introduce properly on herself, but join me to introduce, I'm still claiming now the name so that I won't mess up, because it's not a good thing to mess up with ladies' name. Trust me, it's not a good thing. Okay, so I want to introduce to you the CEO and member of the board of Estonian software company named as Alstaka, Miss Kedi Varba. Please join me. You can make some noise. You can clap more. You can even stand. It's good. It's a sign of an energy. Mnaweza kusimama huku tunamkaribisha dada hapa, na naamini kuna kitu kikubwa sana tutakwenda kujifunza kutoka kwa dada yetu. Dada means sister. So that's your first Swahili word you should learn today. Dada. Dada. So she's going to present, but also we are going to have a small chit chat. As a woman, as a leader in ICT, she's going to share a bit of her experience for the last 15 years that she has been working with government. The good news, guys, I can tell you, I saw the Brigadier General of our military. Is he still around? So these guys, they are even able to develop solution for the military. He's there. Salute, sir. So he's there. So after this conversation, I'm going straight to Rugaro, guys. Naenda Rugaro nikitoka hapa kuwapelekea Kitonga AI wale wanajeshi wetu, ili tuweze kuboresha pia mifumo ya serikali. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss.
How can I change
the slides? Okay. So naomba msaada kule nyuma wa slide. I think. You want to change the slide?
Yeah, they are
okay. Okay, so you can use them. Okay. So after the slide, you will have like 5 minutes talk. You share your experience as a woman in leadership. I don't know if it's
I will do it, yes.
Yeah, so
If you want, I can see that.
Sorry for that. Hello. Hello from my side as well. I have never had such a long introduction in a conference. But it's lovely to be here. Jumbo from my side, Stere in Estonian. And I'm just sharing you a bit of my experience today. I will try to be quite brief. And actually, I wanted to go back to the very beginning of today, to the speech of the gentleman from Uganda who said that you don't have to be the president, you don't have to be the prime minister, but I would like to encourage all of the ladies in the room that you indeed can become one. So let's start with that thought. Just very briefly about the company I'm representing. Actors is an Estonian software company, and Estonia is a tiny country somewhere in north of Europe. We are actually quite cold. It's already turning into winter where we live, and we do have 1.3 million people. But Estonia is a digital state. Until today, we had 2 services that were not digitized yet, that were getting married and getting divorced. But this will be changed also in the future, so we can do all of the transactions and services with the state digitally. About the company, Actors is one of the companies behind the initial development of the Estonian national data exchange platform X-Road, which is the core backbone of e-Estonia, taking care of the interoperability between different information systems. So we operate in e-governance, finance. For example, we have digitized the state budget of Estonia, justice, we have created the court information system, and also the defense sector. I will get to the defense sector very soon, but today I will mostly share my story, my personal story of how I ended up in ICT sector and how I ended up as a CEO of Actors. So actually my background is in business administration. I did my bachelor in business administration and languages, and Estonia had just joined European Union in 2004. We had the euro in 2011, and it seemed fascinating for me. So after the very practical business school, I didn't know what I want to do. I didn't have any career outlooks in that sense that I was working in marketing and sales field. And I was thinking that I would like to work in European Commission. So I went to do my master's in European Studies, which was all about the laws, politics, international relations of European Union. Then I ended up visiting European Commission, and I understood the load of bureaucracy that's there. And I was thinking that, what the hell was I thinking? I actually don't like this at all. I like to be a practical person, and I didn't understand why I studied this thing. I was actually quite unhappy. And also at the same time, I quit my job in the marketing sector because I had totally burned out. I had overworked. I had 18-hour workdays, organizing conferences and trainings, and I took some time off. So as the stress was very high, I got sick. I took 1.5 months in Spain and just enjoyed a vacation. When I came back to Estonia, then actually I didn't have a job. I already had the pressure that I was running out of money because I was living abroad for some time. And then I had a friend who was offered a job in an IT company as a secretary. And she didn't want to go because she was quite well positioned in her work, and she was offering it to me that, hey, you need a job, why don't you go instead of me? So that wasn't my ambition at all, to go and work as a secretary in some company when I was working as a project manager in marketing for a couple of years already. But I was thinking that the salary was a bit better than in my previous job. I didn't have to do much, and I was thinking that, why not? I will go there, I will be able to have a lot of free time, and I can look for job advertisements while I'm sitting in the front desk. So in 2013, I ended up as a secretary in the IT company Actors. And actually, I didn't know anything about IT. In Estonian Business School, I had an IT course for 1 year where we studied to do a web page in HTML. And in this IT company where I started, one of my first jobs was actually to create a software user manual in HTML. So I could actually put my knowledge into practice, which I never knew I actually need in the future. Also, very soon, I joined the defense project. As when they were hiring me, they also realized that I'm overqualified for the job, so they were looking for opportunities for me to develop very fast. And in 3 months, I was looking for a new secretary, and I was helping to manage the biggest defense sector project in Estonia that has been in Estonia in history. We were developing a software component for NATO Global Hawk drones that are currently flying and also collecting intelligence information during the Ukraine war. So finally, in 2014, as Estonia had developed a new master's program about e-governance technologies and services in Tallinn University of Technologies, then I decided to go and do another master's degree about IT. This is where I finally ended up getting the whole picture and overview of how things work in IT sector. And in 2020, I also became the member of the supervisory board of the same position. During the 10 plus years that I have worked at Doctors, I have been doing different things. I have been doing project management, testing analysis. Also, I have taken the responsibility for HR and communications. I did some job as a lawyer, although I'm not a lawyer myself. And in 2018, I became the regional manager for Africa and Middle East. So fast forward to this spring in 2023, the actual founder and former CEO of the company handed me over his position. So, and also when I was talking about the EU, that I didn't understand why I studied this thing, and actually I lost passion to that. Then this year in September, I was selected in the business advisory group for the Global Gateway digital subgroup member that's consisting of CEOs only. And believe it or not, most of them are men. And it's an advisory group for the European Commission on the top management level, so we're advising Ursula von der Leyen, the President of European Commission, in means of digital developments, also about the funding opportunities in Africa, Caribbean, and other neighboring areas. So this is something that's related to my experience, and I also have some lessons learned during my journey in the digital sector that I have been in for those past years, and that doesn't only go to the digital or IT only, but in general for all of the business management, I would say. That as a lady, you need to invest in education. Even if you don't understand why you study this at the moment, then at least do it. Whatever you study, it's useful in the future. Also, be a kind person and lead by an example. Because as ladies, one of the best things that's appreciated from us is that we're empathic, and also that we're mostly doing business in an honest way. Also learn from other people's experience. It's either read the books or talk to other people who are like-minded. Make connections. That has been one of the biggest success factors for me, that you need to talk to people, because business is not happening between companies, it's still happening between people. Also, find a community. For example, if you have a Girls in ICT initiative, or like CEOs, women CEOs initiatives, then join those groups. share your experience and also learn from others. And if you don't find a community, then found one. Also partner up to collaborate. For me, also one of the very good examples has been that as a woman, I need to partner up with men to collaborate, because we're doing some of the very big digitalization projects in different parts of the world, but it's mostly still a men's game, as we have seen on the screen. So partner up with men who actually hear you and who are your equal partners and who appreciate you. Also know your rights and obligations. As women are quite a vulnerable group, then you need to study the law. And if you have a contract that's popping on your table in front of you, then you need to read it to understand it and also know your rights. Transparency and honesty, I already mentioned, are a key, and also women empowerment. Have ladies that are like-minded and that support you around you so that you can be better and stronger, and in this way you will succeed, because the women power has a very strong power, so to say. So, and just to wrap my story up, if you don't understand at the moment as a young girl what you're actually doing and why you're doing it, then at some point the puzzle pieces will come together and you will have the whole picture. Just whatever you do, try to be the best in it and you will succeed. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Makofi hayatoshi jamani. Thank you so much, Keda. I hope, how many of you have learned something? How many of you? Okay. So before I call Esther, I just, you really touched me. Your story actually really touched me. It's not where you are today. It's about where you're going tomorrow. That's the first important lesson I've learned. She started as a secretary, and here we are. She's a CEO. Haijalishi unaanzia wapi, weka malengo ya kule unakoenda. Upande huu kama kawaida. Sema haijalishi naanzia wapi. Upande huu haijalishi naanzia wapi. Kinachojalisha ni kule ninakoenda. Upande huu. Tanzania ya kidijitali inawezekana. So I'm calling Esther. You were here on the stage. Makofi kwa Esther huko namleta. We won't have a lot of sort of panel thing, but I would love to like this time I won't even ask a question. I'll ask maybe one question, and I want to take question from the crowd to share experience, because now we have Estonian experience and we have Tanzanian experience, and I love coffee, ladies, so I'm the big fan of coffee. If you blend, to make a right coffee, you need some right ingredients. So I hope today we are going to mix Europe context of business and Tanzanian context of business, and together we're going to make a small cafe latte. So I'll take a mic. Hello? Okay. So, okay. The camera guys always are content creators, and they are requesting you to move at the center for the perfect pictures. So you can, at the center. So, I'm here to take 3 questions from the audience. Any 3 questions that you can ask. Esther, introduce herself area, and I don't want to rub all those for the interest of time. I want to connect with the audience. So I'm welcoming the first question. And actually this first question, I'll just pick randomly, because I'll pick someone that is not so old. I think I will start with, you can ask literally anything or say anything to the CEOs in front of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Elias, for this opportunity. Honestly, Ms. Keda, your story touched me. I was crying just a moment ago. I have some sort of confusion inside of me. I did, expecting to graduate from 4 years of computer engineering in 7th of December this year. And I still don't know, in computer engineering, and I still don't know where I'm going with my life. So, I don't have a question, maybe I need advice.
Thank you so much. That was really touching. And how many of you are graduates here? Graduates? Okay, I see some graduates. Ms. Keda, you have been asked for a simple advice. She's a graduate computer engineer. 4 years she has been at the university, and now she's just looking for a way out. She doesn't know where to go. She doesn't know what life looks like. She doesn't have, she haven't been yet exposed to the opportunity, the green pastures for her career, to practice what she learned in the class. So what would you tell the young, beautiful lady back there for the advice?
Yes, does it work? Yes. I would like everyone in the room who's currently in school, raise your hand. Everyone who's still studying something.
Yeyote ambaye anasomea kitu anaweza kunyosha mkono.
I think we have more people.
Okay.
We have very few hands.
Kama unasoma unaweza kunyosha mkono. Wewe kama ni mwanafunzi unaweza kunyosha mkono.
Which ones of you know what you want to do in the future? I think we need you to stand up so that we can see you better.
Okay. Mnaweza mkasimama ili awaone vizuri, ili anapokuja kuwapa ushauri huu basi uweze kuwa na manufaa kwenu nyote. Unaweza kusimama wewe kama unasoma au umemaliza alafu uelewi. Sasa tutafanya zoezi la haraka haraka. Wangapi tayari mnajua mnataka kuwa wakina nani siku za usoni? Wangapi? Aha, basi okay. Ambao mnajua mnataka kuwa wakina nani?
I could see some boys
yes.
Raising their hands in the back corner, but mostly, as you can see, no one knows what they want to do in the future.
Yeah.
Neither did I. I think, Esther, did you know who you want to become? Of course, I was, when I was a child, I was dreaming of becoming a salesperson in a cosmetic store because my mom was one. So we are actually making decisions according to our role models, but the role models during the time can change. So just my suggestion would be that you need to follow your heart in that sense that you need to do what's actually something that you like to do. Because if you are studying IT and you want to be a baker, let's say, instead of that, then you should choose that route, but also sometimes it's possible to do both. I also have a software engineer who's baking bagels every weekend, and he's doing software engineering during the week. So it's totally normal that we don't know what we want to do, but at least we need to be consistent. And the more you explore the world, the more you study, then you will finally find out.
Wow, kwa wale ambao hamjaelewa kizungu kilichozungumzwa nitatafsiria kwa maneno mepesi sana. Utapokuwa unasoma, umemaliza chuo na umestaki ujui unachotakiwa au huna sehemu ya kujishikisha muda huo. Kitu pekee ambacho unatakiwa kufanya ni kujaribu baadhi ya vitu ambavyo unaweza ukavifanya kwa muda huo ili kuweza kuongeza kipato chako. Kwa mfano, ana rafiki yake ambaye yeye amesoma engineering na nini, lakini muda wa ziada ambao alikuwa akisoma alikuwa anajishughulisha na kazi za bakery na nini, anajifunza ujuzi mwingi. Kwa hiyo jifunze kuwa na ujuzi mbalimbali ili ukusaidie huku unajiandaa au unakimbiza zile ndoto zako, na siku fursa inapotokea basi itakukuta tayari umekwisha kujiandaa. Mmepata kitu wadogo zangu? Basi nitamruhusu pia dada Esther hapa aweze kumpa dada ushauri pale. Welcome Esther.
I think we can also let you sit down now.
Mnaweza kukaa. Mnaweza kukaa.
Mimi naomba nishauri kwa Kiswahili ili watu wote tuelewe. Kitu cha kwanza ambacho unaweza kufanya, tafuta mentor. Tafuta mtu ambaye anapitia njia ambayo unataka kwenda, akuongoze. Naelewa confusion yako kwa sababu wanawake ni wachache sana kwenye hii industry. Kwa hiyo unakuwa hujui nani wa kwenda akupe mentorship. Kwa hiyo hatua ya kwanza, tafuta mentorship. Na kitu kingine mimi naweza nikashauri ambacho nilikuwa nakifanya mimi nilivyokuwa chuoni. Fikiria kazi ambayo ungependa kufanya. Nenda kwenye mtandao, search ile kazi na title. Let's say kama ni system administrator, IT officer, database administrator, whatever it is. Soma zile job description. Hakikisha unapata huo ujuzi hata kama ni kwa kujitolea. Ili hiyo ina add kwenye CV yako. Ukianza kuapply in real life ukimaliza masomo, unakuwa na ile experience tayari.
Wow, Ms. Valde, I want to ask something. Mental health is the biggest problem now, and you are a leader, you are a CEO, and for many startups who are in the building, would love to know how to handle emotional intelligence, how to handle their emotions so that they don't interfere their decision making when they are doing their businesses. How do they handle? I can start with you, Ms.
It's a very difficult question because we have all had these problems. Emotions during some ages are a part of your life. You just during life and time, you just manage to deal with them somehow, and you get calmer yourself and so on. So I would say that working in an IT company full of men for more than 10 years has taught me a lot of patience that I didn't have before. Because also each individual, I would say that in general, a software developer is a different species of people, because they are all very different. And it's a difficult question to ask, but I would also say that I can't say that you need to keep your, work-life balance or need to go to the nature, or it's impossible. What I was also saying before is that find like-minded communities. I know that as a teenager and as a, let's say, up to 20 years old, boys are very important in our life, and the emotions are coming up and down as roller coasters. But as we mature as women, then women become the more and more important part of our lives, actually. So find girls, women, maybe also some, I don't know, as we have the initiatives that we heard of today on the stage, try to join those kind of communities, and you can get support by people who have been in the business already for a longer period of time, for example.
Okay, I hope mtakuwa mmemwelewa. So Esther, this is one question with part A and part B. Part one is, what are the skill set as a CEO of the company, of the startup, do you need to have as a woman? That's the first part A. But part B, I'm an engineer in computers, so at least if you speak cyber, I completely understand. So I just need, when you start to respond to this question, start with this part B, like educate. I would prefer if you speak in Swahili. Tell them a little bit about what cybersecurity is, the space you are in, and then what are the skill sets that you need to run or to win, because you're completely understanding the nitty-gritty of the economics and the dynamics of our country. You know the policies, you know you know a lot of things. You have run into this market, so you clearly understand what are the skill set as a woman in leadership you should have. So I would prefer Swahili. So my beautiful young sisters and my big sisters there can grasp something at least today about cybersecurity, because I know a lot of young ladies, they were looking cyber. What is cyber? They think cyber is something like a robot, you know. So you can share a little bit. Welcome.
Thank you. Naomba niji-introduce kwa upya. Can I kindly reintroduce myself? So my name is Mrs. Esther Mengi. I'm a cybersecurity expert, meaning I'm a certified ethical hacker, certified information systems auditor, certified forensic investigator, certified network associate by Cisco. So those are my certifications. So apart...
Makofi jamani, hivyo ni vyeti. Makofi hayatoshi jamani, makofi zaidi. Tanzania ya kidijitali. So we have a few minutes, so I would love to go straight.
Just like a moja. So there's a reason why I'm introducing this. It becomes easier to go to the next part. So I'm also a board chair of African Child Project. It's an NGO that's aiming at bridging the digital divide and taking internet access and digital devices to unconnected areas. And also I am in the committee, the advisory committee for a Rafik project. It's a World Bank project that aims to transform the IT into the ICT Center of Excellence. So I sit there as the vice chair of the advisory board. Apart from that, I'm a mother of 4 and a wife. So when you're speaking about mental issues, it's something that for someone having such your hands filled, it's something that happens, yeah, from time to time. And it's something that's real. Hata sisi hapa tulioko hapa, kila mtu ana maisha yake binafsi. Apart from just working, going to the office, una maisha ambayo labda wewe ni ndugu, wewe ni mwanajamii, mwimba kwaya, so many things. So all those things, if there's no balance, inakuwa shida kidogo. So I'd like to quote just a quote that I really love from Michelle Obama. She says, you can have it all, but not all at the same time. Yeah? We can't do everything at the same time. In piecemeals. As a CEO, there are times I've taken a break from my work. It's not even a joke. And there are times where you are, before when we were starting the company, there are times where you're like, this thing is so hard, and you'd want to consider employment. But these are things that people don't talk about. It's not all roses, yeah? Sometimes it reaches end month and there are no salaries. So it is difficult, but it is rewarding at the same time.
While we are winding up, I asked the area, what are the skill set that a startup CEO needs to have, at least 2, that young ladies today will at least remember. Esther taught me these 2 skill sets, and they have elevated me to become who I've become today in their future, yes.
So 1, it's the sad truth, but the industry values certification. If you want to strive in the ICT industry, get certified in whichever area you're doing. It's unfortunate, but the industry values a certification more than a PhD or a master's degree, yeah? That's number 1. Number 2, upskill yourself. From time to time, train yourself on the new things. Train yourselves in areas that you don't know, even the areas that you know, because technology changes always. So you need to learn. The minute you stop learning, that's the end. Your career will start declining. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. You can make some round of applause as we are winding up. Thank you so much for these wonderful stories and sessions that you have shared. You have a question? Okay, so if MC can allow me for one question from the audience, it seems like this person will burst if that question is not answered. So I need your consent.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. I promise I will keep 3 minutes. So, sir, okay.
Hi, my name is Karim, and I'm a cybersecurity expert also. So my question is to the both of you. Number 1 is, we generally understand, not only in tech, but in all other industry, that men are forever going to be competitive, aggressive, resilient, and focused on achieving their goals in whatever they are trying to do. So in such a competitive environment, what can the women do in order for them also to thrive? And also just a little bit of comment to try and assist her in the emotional question. So if whenever you're facing any emotion struggles, the best thing will be, number one, talk to people who have walked the walk. For women, we do understand they're by nature emotionally. So whenever they interact with a person who has walked the walk, it kind of helps them relieve them from the stress that they're going through. And also, it's very important to talk to psychologists, because most of us think that psychologists, are for people who are for special cases, but it also helps to talk to a psychologist in that light. So, my question to both of you. Thank you.
Okay, so for the interest of time, since she's not a cyber expert, you can respond. Hope you okay.
Can you say the question? What were the questions? Sorry.
The questions. Actually, you can paraphrase your questions so she can actually understand.
No, so generally it's, we all understand that generally that men are forever going to be aggressive, resilient, competitive in achieving their goals. So in that note, what can the women do in order to thrive in such an environment?
I would like to say women are also competitive. Women are also, go-getters. Women are also resilient. So it's not a gender issue. Like when it comes to professionalism, let's put that gender roles aside. If I'm a professional, I shouldn't be because I'm a woman. Yes. It should be based on my skills. So we are equally as competent. Thank you.
I totally agree, and I would encourage all of the women, girls, ladies in the room to be brave, to compete with the men, because mostly we just stand aside, because we are, by nature, we are the ones who need to sit at home and take care of the babies. So just be brave, stand up, speak for yourself, and that will do already.
We all deserve a seat at the table.
Yes.
Not based on our gender, but based on our skills.
Thank you so much. We are out of time. So huku nikiwa nawatoa wazungumzaji wangu, na mimi nimejifunza vitu cha muhimu, kuwa jasiri. Amemalizia kwa kusema hapo Miss kuwa jasiri, jiamini, lakini pia kuongeza ujuzi katika kile ambacho unakifanya. Na nikija kuongelea masuala ya kitonga AI, tutagundua kuwa AI haina hisia. Kwa hiyo even hakuna vitu vya mwanaume sijui mwanamke, everybody is equal. So thank you so much for amazing thoughts that you shared. I hope somebody has been built today. Na kama mmejengwa, nisikie tena Tanzania ya kidijitali. Tanzania ya kidijitali. Basi makofi, ladies and gentlemen, Esther and Ms. Valda. Thank you.
Asante sana Elias. Naomba tumpigie Elias makofi yake peke yake. Thank you very much for the interesting discussion led by Elias Patrick. I see the panelists still consulting. I'm sure it was an interesting... Your phone? Yeah. Elias, you left your panels here. I told you to practice ladies first, not ladies first after men. Now you see the problem. Okay, well, now I have the honor to introduce our next moderator for the session, Funding Women-Led ICT Startups in Tanzania, the funding options and the challenges of funding. This is none rather than Dada Caro Ndos, my own sister. Karibu sana, you are standing between us and our lunch. So you and your panelists, we are looking at you, seriously watching what you are going to do. Karibu sana Dandos. Karibu sana.
Asante sana kaka Innocent, and it's such a pleasure. You know, Innocent is one of those, I would say, professionals that I've always been admiring growing up when I started in the media and PR industry, so it's a great pleasure to share the same stage with you. If I don't get this off my chest, I won't be able to breathe. I'm sorry. But to the gentleman who spoke, I would just like to put a call out to the audience that we really need to be careful of the language that we use. You might believe that you are making a fair point, but in a way might be condescending or even undermining whoever is in the room. And in this particular day, women in the room. I can assure you that we are very competitive. Some of us even more competitive than men, okay? And we're actually very aggressive. So next time I would kindly advise and implore you to use an alternative language. Thank you very much. Now, if I didn't get that off my chest, wallahi, I wouldn't have been able to breathe, so thank you for allowing me that. Allow me to call to the stage now the panelists who are going to participate in this particular discussion, Funding Women-Led ICT Startups in Tanzania, the funding options and the challenges of funding women-led ICT startups in Tanzania. First and foremost, karibu sana, Ms. Vanessa Kisowile from She Found. Makofi tafadhali. Thank you. These are the competitive women, by the way, yeah? So, more makofi. Next up, I'd like to call on Ms. Zainab Abdallah from Power Learn Project, PLP. Ms. Zainab? Ola? Ola is not here? No? Okay, I see you. Next is my very own comrade, Ms. Ikunyigulila Mungu wangu. Can I just call you Iku? Yes. Welcome to the stage, Ms. Iku Mwanjisi from Shule Direct and Doto Hub. I'm sorry, Iku. I'm so sorry. Karibu sana. Next up is Ms. Sharon Nsule from CRDB Foundation. CRDB Foundation. Karibu sana. And last but not least, where is she? Oh, I see you, Ms. Halila Mboe. Please grace us with your presence. A round of applause, please. Jamani, mbona ni wachoyo wa makofi hivi? All right, thank you. Okay, we're just going to wait for Halila to take her seat. Karibu sana. Rise up. Yes. Okay, so to start with, I'd like to, I personally know almost all of you. Yeah, actually all of you. But I think for the benefit of the audience, I would like to give each and every one of you to introduce yourself as well as the work that you do and how now it ties to the topic at hand. Karibu sana Vanessa, I'll start with you. Do you have a mic?
Thank you very much, Ms. Carol. I think I also know almost everyone. So it's afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa. Good afternoon. Please bear with us. I know we're standing between you and lunch. It's going to be fantastic. My name is Vanessa Kisowile. I am a founder and executive director of an organization called She Found. We work with women-led, with women entrepreneurs and women-led businesses, particularly both SMEs and tech-led businesses, or rather tech startups. We have been existing since 2018, so that has been quite a journey in learning in terms of access to funding for entrepreneurs. We've cried with them, we've learned with them, we've stumbled with them. So in terms of the access of funding and relating to what we do, we focus on 4 pillars as She Found. One is economic advocacy, and I have to, everyone operates within their mandate. So ours is economic advocacy, and we work with organizations that particularly impact economic empowerment of the woman entrepreneur. But the second one, we call it learning. So basically capacity building. The third, we call it growth. It's a combination of technical support. So we work hand in hand with these entrepreneurs, whether it's giving them access, building structures and systems and all of that, and finance access. Now, we don't provide finances, but we work in partnership with people that do. And then the fourth one is market access, where we link them with available markets or expose them to market opportunities that we're aware of. So I'll just end up there.
Good afternoon. So I have a bit of a cold. My voice is a bit raspy, so outside of here I sound a bit different. My name is Zainab Abdallah, but you can also call me Ola. I think most of the people that know me on this panel refer to me as Ola. I'm the country project lead for Powerland Project. I'm a bit curious, does anyone know of Powerland Project? Powerland Project? Okay, I see some hands, that's encouraging. So basically, for the benefit of those that have not heard of Powerland Project, we are an impact-based organization that offers tech training to individuals in the areas of software development. So our core focus is empowering the youths with tech training of a span of 16 weeks, in which our model rather operates in training around 4 courses and also in areas of entrepreneurship and personal development. Now, when it also comes to the topic, or rather the theme at hand, is that we are where the ideation starts. So we are very intentional about building the startups. We are very intentional about supporting these solutions to take off from the ground. And we understand that once the solution has taken off, then the funders can build the trust to invest money into these solutions. So I think that's as simple as it is.
Habari ya mchana. Mimi naitwa Iku Nyigulila Mwanjisi Lazaro, lakini wengi wananiita Iku Lazaro. Mimi nilipokuwa mdogo nilikuwa natamani sana kuwa engineer. Na nimesoma NECTA, na siku niliyojua kwamba ndoto yangu ya engineer haitatimia ilikuwa ni siku namaliza mtihani wa form 6, ulikuwa mtihani wa physics paper 2, na siku ile nilijua kabisa hiyo ndoto imeisha. Lakini sio kusema kwamba nilifeli sana, lakini hiyo ndoto iliisha. Lakini baada ya pale nilifanya mambo tofauti, na nimefanya kazi kwenye sekta ya mawasiliano, kujenga minara ya simu, nimejenga nyumba, nimefanya kazi za matangazo, lakini baadaye nilipenda sana kazi za ICT. Na kupenda kwangu ICT naweza kusema ni bahati kwamba tangu naanza form 1 nilisoma kwenye shule ambayo ilikuwa ni private, kwa ilikuwa na computers. Kwa tangu nimeanza form 1 nilikuwa introduced kwa computers, na hiyo ni miaka mingi sana ya nyuma, sitaki kusema ni lini kwa sababu mtajua jinsi nilivyo mzee. Lakini kusema hayo yote, katika kazi ya mwisho nilifanya ilikuwa kwenye mambo ya mawasiliano, kujenga minara ya simu. Nilifanya hayo Tanzania na Rwanda, na baadaye tulikuwa na wazo la kufanya, ilikuwa ni kitu cha kufanya online, lakini baadaye wazo lile likabadilika, tukaanzisha shirika linaitwa Shule Direct miaka 10 iliyopita. Na lengo la shirika letu ilikuwa ni kuangalia ni namna gani tunaweza tukatumia teknolojia za kidijiti, au kwa Kiswahili cha mtaani tunasema kidijitali, kuwezesha watu kuweza kupata nyenzo za kujifunza. Watoto wa Kitanzania ambao wanasoma NECTA, na tulianza form 1 mpaka form 4, lakini sasa hivi pia tuna primary ambayo inaitwa Shule Direct Kids. Tulianzisha hilo shirika tukiwa wadada. Wakati ule kweli tulikuwa wadogo kidogo, na tulikuwa na changamoto nyingi ambazo tumepitia, na it's very exciting kuwa katika chumba hiki na watu wengi ambao wametushika mkono kwa namna nyingi sana kuweza kufika hapa tulipo. Lakini 5 years into tulichokuwa tunafanya, tuliona kuna fursa nyingine ya sisi kama wanawake kuweza kushare yale ambayo sisi tumepitia, makosa tuliyofanya, na kuweza kumwezesha mwanamke mwingine basi asitembee njia ile ambayo sisi tulipita, yeye anaweza kaenda kwa urahisi zaidi. Kwa tulianzisha platform inaitwa Ndoto Hub, ambayo ni incubator naweza kusema ya kwanza, ambayo ilikuwa ina cater kwa ajili ya wanawake tu. Na lengo tena ilikuwa ni kwamba utakuwa una wazo lako lolote la biashara, haijalishi liko kwenye IT au la, lakini unaweza kuja kwenye space hiyo ambayo tutakushirikisha yale ambayo sisi binafsi tumejua, lakini pia tunawaita wataalamu na watu mbalimbali ambao tayari wako kwenye hiyo space. Elias pia ni mdau wetu mzuri ambaye ameshakuja pale kusaidia wadada, na mpaka sasa tumeshaweza kufikia wanawake zaidi ya 300 ambao wamepitia Ndoto Hub. So nafurahi kuwa hapa leo kudiscuss swala ambalo ni nyeti kwa wanawake linalohusiana na upatikanaji wa rasilimali fedha.
Jamani, a round of applause for Iku. Thank you. Sio tukupigie makofi mengine kwa ajili ya Iko Kiswahili kilichonyooka bila kuchanganya maneno, au sio?
Habari za mchana. Good afternoon. Jamani, we have a lot of youth in the room. Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm Sharon Sule. I've been in the innovation space / ICT for the past 6-7 years. Funny fact, I do not have an ICT background. I have a business background. But being in this industry, I've grown passion and been driven a lot with the interesting things that are happening in the ICT sector, particularly with women as well. So I'm really privileged to be here alongside these other beautiful women with what they're doing in the industries, and happen to have worked with all of them individually. I currently work with CRDB Bank Foundation as a manager for startups development and incubation. CRDB Bank Foundation was established early 2022. It was registered as an NGO, particularly to support the growth of youth and women. And how do we do that? With a mission to promote inclusive growth for socioeconomic development and financial inclusion. Through the CRDB Bank Foundation, we launched our very first program called Imbeju Program, that I will speak more about it later. This program also mainly focuses on supporting the youth and women through capacity building and seed funding. Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
Hello. Yes, naomba nianze kwa kusema kuna msemo ambao rafiki yangu kipenzi anapenda kusema. Msichana mwenye ndoto ni moto. Naomba tuseme kwa pamoja, msichana mwenye ndoto
ni moto.
Sijawaelewa bado watoto wa kike, msichana mwenye ndoto
ni moto.
Sawa, asanteni sana. Kwa jina naitwa Khalila Mboe, nitachanganya Kiingereza na Kiswahili, manake Kiingereza kilivyokuja kwenye boti nadhani na mimi nilikuwa pale beach. Lakini kwa jina naitwa Khalila Mboe. Labda niseme kwa kujitambulisha, mimi nilikuwa ni mtoto wa kike wa Kitanzania, nilikuwa na ndoto nyingi sana nilivyokuwa mdogo. Nilikuwa naongea na mama yangu nikamwambia naona tatizo hili, nasema kwa nini tusifanye hivi? Lakini kana kwamba nilikuwa mtoto wa kike mwenye ndoto kubwa sana, pia nilikuwa na mtoto wa kike ambao nilipitia changamoto kubwa sana, kwa sababu hamna hata mtu mmoja aliyeamini kwenye zile ndoto nilizowaambia ziko possible. Na nakumbuka nilivyokuwa naenda primary, sema nilisoma shule gani, lakini nilipoenda primary marafiki zangu au labda wale wanafunzi nilikuwa nasoma nao walikuwa wananicheka na kunisema nilikuwa ninaposema zile ndoto nilizokuwa nazo. Kuna yeyote ambaye ameshawahi kupitia hiko?
Yes.
Unaogopa kusema unachotaka kukifanya kwa sababu unaogopa mwenzako atakucheka, au unaogopa kumwambia mzazi wako kile unachotaka kukifanya kwa sababu unaona kwamba atakuona kwamba hivi wewe, yani mazingira yako na ndoto zako haviendani. So unaanza kuchukua zile ndoto kidogo unazipaki kwenye mfuko. Hautaki kuzisema. Lakini kwa namna moja au nyingine nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu sasa hivi mimi ni mkurugenzi mtendaji wa kampuni inaitwa Unleashed Africa Social Ventures. Msiwe achoe wa makofi. Pigeni tu makofi mkisikia. Lakini kitu ambacho tunakifanya hapa sasa ndo naendea kwenye kile Kiingereza kilichokuja kwenye boti. Unleashed Africa ni group of social enterprises ambao tuko kwenye maeneo ya tech innovation, media innovation, pia tunatengeneza capacity development programs. Sana kitu kikubwa ambacho tunataka kukifanya ni kuhakikisha kwamba kuna innovation kwenye tasnia tatu ambazo tunazifanyia kazi. Tuko kwenye creative industries, pia tunafanya tech for gender na tunafanya social enterprise development. Nitazungumzia vitu tunavyofanya hapo mbeleni, lakini kitu kikubwa ni kuwakumbusha msichana mwenye ndoto ni
moto.
Ndio.
Thank you very much, Alila. I always love your energy, by the way, and it's just out there. Sasa basi, for the sake of time, nitauliza maswali mawili na ningependa tunaweza tukaendelea na Kiswahili? Eti jamani. Aha, okay, safi. Basi wale interpretation, naomba basi interpretation? Yeah, interpretation, that one. Waendelee na wageni wetu kuhakikisha kwamba wako accommodated. Swali langu la kwanza, ningependa mlijibu kwa katika muktadha wa kazi ambazo mnafanya. Kwa hiyo tukiangalia upatikanaji wa rasilimali fedha, lakini ukiacha rasilimali fedha, hata rasilimali nyingine, Vanessa umesema kuhusu linkages, kuwakutanisha hawa wajasiriamali na fursa mbalimbali. Ningependa kufahamu kwa kutumia muktadha wenu nyie na kazi zenu, hizi fursa ziko wapi za kupata hizi rasilimali fedha, lakini hata watu wakitaka kujihusisha na program zenu ambazo mnafanya, wanakuja wapi, wanapitia wapi? Vanessa, tuanze na wewe.
Naruhusiwa kuchanganya. Okay, thank you. Okay, so kwanza wakitaka, let me start from there, alafu tutakuja mengine. In terms of programs ambazo zipo at SheFound, in terms of programs ambazo zipo at SheFound, tuna programs aina 3, or rather 2-3. So one, kuna ambazo ni partner funded, ambazo hizi zinakuwa explicitly specific na zinakuwa focused na partners tunahitaji kupata nini, numbers ni all of that. And then kuna inbuilt programs ambayo moja inaitwa SheFound Aspiring Program, ambayo ni kwa wale ambao ni entrepreneurs, either anataka kuanza au yuko at the very early stage. And majority of these that we take kwenye hii program ni tech startups rather. And then the other one is called Blooms. Blooms ni wale ambao tayari wameshaanza, they're in a certain stage. You know, you have run yes, they're blooming. You know, you're in kuna kale ka stage when you're running an organization or a business where everything doesn't make sense and you need somebody to help you make sense, or else, yeah. So that's a stage where we work with. As far as how they join, mara nyingi our programs are openly available online, and we reach through our communities as well. Kwa wao mara nyingi pia they on board. We have a community by now, I think it may increase around 2,000 na. But we have worked in terms of programs as programs with around, by this year we should be around 460 something. Yeah. So now in terms of where these opportunities are founded. Kusema ukweli, Tanzania's tech ecosystem is maturing. Sitaki kudownplay hicho kitu. Kweli it's maturing. Players are doing an amazing job na nini. Lakini kuna vitu kadhaa ambavyo viliongelewa tokea mwanzo. Or there are several things that were spoken from the beginning. One is an issue of data before I even start to where they can find these opportunities. Because, first of all, even data at the African continent, knowing how many women-led tech startups are there is an issue. Sasa hivi Tanzania, sijui if there's any report at all that says how many women are in ICT generally, how many women have access to internet, let alone how many women are running tech startups. But tukiangalia kwenye engo ya Africa generally, kuna report that was just shared by TechCrunch as of recent. They did across the leading countries, including Nigeria, Tunisia, and all of that. Of the 2,365 businesses or startups that they nani, only 360 have female co-founders. And then only 230 have ever been are led by women, and less, that is like 9.6%. And of that percent, almost, 7% of them only have had access to funding. So you can see how that number keeps on trickling down. Kwa Tanzania, I know we have tumeweka options tofauti, or initiatives rather tofauti. We have CRDB, Mbeju, which I can't speak for. We have Representative. We have Funguo, which I understand they take on more than just tech-focused entrepreneurs. And we have Warioba Ventures. We have several others that are coming up. We were just hosting DAS a couple of weeks ago, which is a branch of Slush, the famous Slush event, finish event. And one of the ladies from CRDB actually communicated that she's now an angel investor, and she has started practicing investing in family, in startups. But the thing is, we don't have particular information where these entrepreneurs can either have access. So if I am building a tax solution, where do I go? The informations are scattered everywhere. That's one. Two, what is needed is not known. So what women are doing is just you throw a net, and then kitakacho kamatika ni kile kile. But another thing, the flexibility of what is existing is also an issue. One, we have limited infrastructure. Even to the gentlemen who are running startups, which seem to be a big number, there's an infrastructure issue. Now come to a group where they even have lack of access of internet and all of these things. An infrastructure issue is a big major problem. So,
This is us being conscious of time, so apologies for that, yes. Ola, over to you. PLP, tech-led startup, yes. Women-founded, yes. Where did you, okay. Where did you get the funding opportunities, and how are you then replicating that, you know, with the beneficiaries that you work with?
Okay, so every time I want to address the question, I would love to take you back to the work that we are doing and basically how we are even getting to the point of funding. So primarily the tech training is our core offering, but outside of that we are offering value to the learners that are joining the program. So we have mentorship programs whereby, you know, we've partnered with a number of great organizations and also experts in different fields that offer mentorship to the learners that are within our community. And then when we go back to the community, we have a broader Power Learn project community. It's a mix of vibrant learners and alumni of the project that also, you know, some of them are, you know, they're fresh, they just got into the tech industry. We also have experts in the profession, and also they've been in the industry for a while. Now remember, even when Ms. Keddy was speaking here, she was, you know, one of her call to action was, you know, have like-minded mentors and also be part of a broader community. So what the community does is that it also instills additional value outside of just the training and the upskilling that you got. So once that is already out of the picture and you're empowered with the skills, you're part of a community, now we want to make you trustworthy in the sense that people put money into your solution and into your offering, because people only spend money where they trust. And you know, most of the work that we are doing, it's very much groundwork that we are doing is that we have mapped out a strategic level of partnership. We have identified INGOs, NGOs, government agencies and institutions, and also different stakeholders in the private industry who can also come in and complement the vision. Outside of just the training, we want them to, you know, come in and say, you know, we could fund this solution. We could also, you know, I believe companies like CRDB or even NMB, they have solutions like the areas where most of these developers can test out their solutions. And, you know, once the solution is up and running, it's easier and also trustable for funders to put in the money. Now, one of the biggest challenges that we have also realized from, you know, the research and, you know, the entire time that we've been present is that visibility to the funders network is quite not there yet. So I think it's also one of the things you've mentioned. And what we also come in to provide is access to this network. We are not the network, but the partners make up for part of the network. The partners are the venture capitalists. The partners, you know, are some of the angel investors. Currently, you know, there's this thing where young people are also encouraged, outside of even just buying bonds or investing in, you know, putting your money away in banks, you can also invest in startups. So we are also tapping in all these different arenas and networks to come in and trust the learners and alumni enough to invest into their ideations and their solutions.
I don't want to finish everything.
Thank you, Ola. Iku, kuna kipindi sisi na nyie, sisi LP Digital na Ndoto Hub, tulijaribu kutengeneza pamoja na Dot Tanzania, tulijaribu kutengeneza kitu kinaitwa a pipeline of support. Nataka sasa kufahamu kwamba najua tulishindwa kipindi kile na we have funguo hii tutakaba baada ya hapa, lakini ningependa kufahamu kwamba kitu kama hicho kinaweza kikaleta tija kiasi gani katika kurahisisha upatikanaji wa rasilimali na fedha pia kwa taasisi kama hizi.
Ndio, jibu rahisi. Na ni kweli hiyo nafikiri pia ilitokana na experience zetu. Kwa sababu wote tulikutana na tulikuwa pia na Sahara Ventures ambao kutokana na experience ya kufanya kazi katika hii sekta na kuona changamoto zilizoko katika upatikanaji wa hiyo rasilimali fedha, na kwa kiasi fulani labda kwa sababu tumeweza kupiga hatua moja, tukaona ni namna gani basi tunaweza tukasaidia mwingine naye aweze kupita. Kwa hiyo idea ya hiyo pipeline of support ilikuwa ni kumsaidia mtu ambaye labda leo ana ndoto anaanza, ajue wapi anaanzia. Kama nina wazo tu au kama nimeshaanza, kama natafuta mtaji zaidi, kama natafuta mtaji wa kuanzia, nianzie wapi, au ni ujuzi gani nahitaji, au ni taarifa gani nahitaji kuwa nazo. Kwa hiyo hiyo ndoto hatujashindwa, bado iko katika mchakato. Tutaiendeleza. Na Joseph anacheka kwa sababu naona anakubali ataisupport.
Ana document yetu mpaka leo.
Yes, lakini Caro, kabla sijaendelea nilitaka kugusia kitu kimoja. Uliuliza kuhusu rasilimali fedha zinapatikana wapi, na ningependa kuambia mtu ambaye ana wazo lake leo, sisi wenyewe tulipoanza hatukuwa tunajua anyone in the sector, kwa sababu mimi kama nilisema uzoefu wangu ulikuwa kwenye private sector. Kwa hiyo niliingia kwenye eneo ambalo nilikuwa sijui nani ni nani. Lakini wakati tunaanza, na hiki ni kitu muhimu sana, unaanzaje, unajiposition vipi, watu wakujue kwamba unafanya nini. So mimi nakumbuka the very first funding tulipata ilitokana wakati tunaanza, tukaamua kwamba tutafanya shughuli, tutafanya hafla ya kuzindua Shule Direct. Lakini tulikuwa tujui tunamwalika nani. So nilifanya cold calling, nilituma emails kwenye kila balozi kwamba tuna kitu kama hiki, value yake ni hii, kitaleta matokeo haya, tunahitaji mje. Na kutokana na yale ubalozi wa Uingereza waliitikia na walikuja. Na baada ya pale wakatuambia kwamba wako kwenye mchakato wa kuanzisha kitu kinaitwa Human Development Innovation Fund, and that became our first funding tulipata Shule Direct. And it was also a seal of approval of idea ya Shule Direct. Kwa hiyo tusiogope. Yaani unaweza kuwa wewe hujui, lakini jaribu. Lakini kikubwa katika hiyo kujaribu ni kwamba usiseme tu kwamba mimi wengi tunaishia hapo, and especially kwa wanawake unfortunately, kwamba nina wazo zuri sana, kila mtu anatakiwa alikubali wazo langu. Muonyeshe yule mwingine value ya wazo lako kwake ni nini. Kwa hiyo and saying that, kwa mfano hata Ndoto Hub tumeweza kupata funding kutoka kwenye development sector, lakini pia kutoka kwenye private sector. Na kwenye private sector ni mfano mmoja, tumeweza kuapproach benki moja na tunafanya nayo kazi mpaka sasa hivi. Lakini haikuwa kwamba tunaomba mtupe msaada. Sisi yani ilibidi tuwe creative kusema kwamba okay, wewe kama benki hitaji lako ni nini? Wewe unahitaji labda wateja. Mimi namwambia kwamba nitakupa wateja 1000. But this is how we're going to get to that wateja 1000. Kwa hiyo mimi nachotaka yeye anipe uwezo, nimwezeshe huyu mwanamke anyanyuke awe mteja wake. Kwa hiyo in that way unaweza kupata funding. Kwa hiyo funding ziko kwa namna nyingi sana, lakini kikubwa ni tunajiposition vipi. Na cha pili, I think tumekiongea tangu asubuhi, is about evidence. Taarifa ziko wapi? Kwa kila tunachofanya kidocument, toa taarifa, mtu ajue kwamba kuna kitu hiki kinafanyika na yuko sehemu fulani. Lakini zaidi, most importantly, ni hicho kwamba na wazo zuri, lakini muonyeshe mwingine wazo lako linamsaidiaje yeye. Kwa hiyo pia kufahamu ecosystem kwa Kiswahili sijui
mfumo iko.
Mfumo iko ukoje, nani yupo, anahitaji nini. Ila sina imani sana na hiyo mfumo wako, lakini asante.
I can get away with it, I can assure you. Asante sana Iku. Sasa tuende kwa wenye hela jamani, si ndio? CIDB jamani, mnaifahamu Imbeju program? Kuna wajasiriamali wangapi kwanza kwenye humu ndani? Wajasiriamali tunyoshe mikono. Hawa wajasiriamali hawa wakiitwa mbinguni hawaendi. Nyosheni mikono wajasiriamali. Much better. Sasa Imbeju kama Imbeju, mnajibu hili swali la msingi kabisa kwenye hii panel yetu, funding opportunities, na mnatoa hizi rasilimali fedha pamoja hata na capacity building na kuunganisha na fursa nyingine mbalimbali.
Yes.
Tunawapataje? Na je, ni mjasiriamali wa aina gani ambaye anaweza kawa approach? Ni vigezo gani ambavyo mnazingatia? Kiasi gani cha fedha ambacho mnatoa? Karibu Sharon.
Thank you, Carol. I'm surprised to see not so many of you have heard of Imbeju program, but not bad. I'm actually glad to see some of the beneficiaries that have already passed through Imbeju, Kalila being one of them. I saw her there. So, to answer your question, Ms. Carol, Imbeju program was launched early this year, March 2023. Again, as I mentioned before, with the main purpose of supporting women and youth. How? Through providing seed capital, seed funding, and capacity building. So I understand we are one of the very first corporates to get into this sector. There's been a lot of VCs, a lot of angel investors who are investing in startups and women businesses, but we said, as a bank, why not? So the foundation is a subsidiary of the Serbi Bank PLC, and it was established mainly to focus on providing such support one way or the other. Now, the Imbeju program was established in partnership with two key government institutions. One of them is COSTECH, Commission for Science and Technology Tanzania, and the other one is ICT Commission, that is actually doing this summit, this conference. These are very proud partners because they have helped us throughout the whole process since the establishment of the program on how we reached out to the beneficiaries, to the startups, to the youth, and how we are going to give them the support through the establishment of the connections that they have with the youth and how we can reach out to them. So how does Imbeju program operate? It has two different models. The first one is a competitive model, which is for the youth. This targets only the youth who are in technology, who are who have innovative solutions that can be scalable. And these solutions they have traction, they at least have a minimum viable product. I don't know how to say that in Swahili. At least zimeshaenda sokoni, zimekuwa tested. Na zina at least uelekeo wa kupata wateja, zimeshaanza operate. And we target within the age of 18 to 40 for the youth. And the process of application is just like any other program that has been operating in the innovation ecosystem. There's applications that are open. We receive applications, we shortlist. The criteria are the same. They need to have a minimum viable product, the age within 18 to 40, and then they should operate. We're sector agnostic. We don't have a specific sector within all the sectors. And then after that, they're shortlisted to go through a period of acceleration, which goes for 3 months. And then thereafter, they're provided with the seed capital. But I would like to mention that the seed capital is a repayable grant.
Yani kwamba wanatakiwa walipe wakikopeshwa. Kwa ni mkopo.
It's not mkopo, but it's more like a soft loan, I can say. Because we want to soft loan. We want to make sure that there is a commitment when we give these grants to these entrepreneurs, because we've also seen the trend, like I've been in the industry, I've been in this space where startups or entrepreneurs are given the funds, but they don't really utilize it to the capacity or to what exactly it's supposed to go and do. So they kind of misuse the funds. So we want to make sure that as they're given the funds, they go inject the funds in the right places and then be able to return them.
How much are we talking about here?
For the youth is 30 million. 30
jamani
million
mmesikia milioni 30 hizo.
30
makofi
million
jamani kwa CRDB.
30 million seed funding. And this is a repayable grant, so within 1 to 2 years, one is supposed to return the funds, and it's a revolving grant as well. Once you return, we give to others as well. So it goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you return, the more faithful you are, how quick you are to return the money and productive the business becomes, you can get more. Let me move to the other model now, the second model, which is the non-competitive. This is for the women only. So I know we are focusing on women today. Today is Women's Day. This model targets women who are doing businesses in different areas. And why we say non-competitive? Because we wanted to put more emphasis or more support to show that we're supporting women to grow their businesses and promote their businesses in one way or the other. And the key criteria is they have to be in a group. Lazima mwanamke akija aki-apply kwenye hii funding anatakiwa awe kwenye kikundi ambacho amejiunga na hicho kikundi. Let's say the best example I can use is Kikoba. Uwe kwenye Kikoba au kikundi chochote cha biashara ambacho umejiunga, you are an active member of this group for a year or so. So why we focus on groups, that's the only criteria that we're using, no other criteria for the women. And we are providing this seed funding, but as well as capacity building to support them in their businesses, how they can gain different skills, grow their businesses, because we understand women can operate businesses informally, but then we need to know, help them, are they registered, who to go to when it comes to legal issues, but also support them on advocacy and issues that support women. So all in all, this funding is targeting women between the age of 18 to 60. You see, we have increased the age gap for women because we understand there are also other older women who are operating businesses. Some of them are even doing small businesses. Yeah, so we have covered that area as well. Now, for the funding of women, we know there are other women who don't even need that much funding. They need from just a little amount to keep them moving. So we've also covered that area. We have within the limit of 200,000 to 5 million, but with an exception of increment according to the business, how it's operating, and the level the business is at. Yeah. So all this, again, financial inclusion, to promote their businesses, but also to grow this entrepreneurship, and also see how, as a corporate, as a foundation, we can support in improving the socio-economic development of the country. Yeah. Thank you.
Asante sana Sharon. Jamani, kwa kifupi tu, kuna mikopo ambayo inarudishwa kwa vijana wa miaka 18 mpaka miaka 40 ukiwa na suluhisho lolote, inawezekana isio la kiteknolojia au kidijitali, lakini ili mradi una biashara, vigezo vinazingatiwa, lazima iwe ni bidhaa au huduma ambayo tayari imeshaingia sokoni. Lakini pia wana program nyingine ambayo wanatoa mikopo kwa wanawake, lakini lazima wawe kwenye vikundi kama ile mikopo yetu ya halmashauri 442. Unakuja na kikundi chako, mnapata mikopo kuanzia 200,000 mpaka 1,500,000, si ndio? Okay, asante sana Sharon. Halila, finally I have arrived. Yes? Yes. Now, you have been in this space, you know, for as long as all of us. But naweza nikasema kwamba wewe nafikiri kama nikiangalia wewe unafanya kazi na yani kwenye kundi, naweza nikasema wewe unawafikia wadogo zaidi kama sikosei. Yani the younger kidogo, yani naweza nikasema kidogo wewe uko nao close zaidi. When it comes to kwanza ule utayari wa kuanzisha hizi biashara na hata hizi kupata ya masuluhisho ya kidijitali, ukoje kwa watoto wa kike kiujumla? Alafu tukitoka hapo sasa tuongelee sasa hizo funding opportunities. How easy was it for you as an individual to also access this funding? Karibu.
Asante. Area ya kama tuna wadogo zaidi sina uhakika, imebidi nichukue muda kupause nifikirie ni kweli. Lakini labda kwa kujibu swali lako, I'm going to share 2 stories and then I'm going to respond directly. Cha kwanza, kuna application tumeilaunch inaitwa Rise Up. Nataka kunizungumzie. Rise Up imetengenezwa, labda nianze kusema mwaka 2017 kuna vitu tofauti vilitokea maishani mwangu na vilinifanya nianze kujiuliza maswali kadha wa kadha. And some of the questions that I was asking myself got me and my team to go into the streets and start asking questions. Tulizungumza na watoto wa kike kuanzia secondary, high school, basically form 1 mpaka form 4, form 5 mpaka form 6. Tukazungumza na wale ambao wamesha graduate. Pia tukazungumza na wazazi wao, tukazungumza na walimu kwenye mashule tofauti tofauti. Sitataja hizi shule. Lakini across the board, tulikuwa tunazungumza na watoto wa kike. Wengine wakawa wanaombea tu timu yangu, unajua kuna tofauti sana na kuwa kwenye hiki chumba alafu namuuliza mtoto swali alafu anakujibu kwa namna ambayo yeye anadhani unataka kusikia jibu lake. Lakini ukitengeneza mazingira ambayo ni salama ya kuwa na mazungumzo naga ubaga, watoto wa kike wanatuambia kwanza ndoto ni nini? Hivi mimi naruhusiwa kuwa na ndoto? Na nikiwa na ndoto ninafanya nayo nini? Haya maswali tulikuwa naulizwa. Story ya pili, kuna shule tulienda, tulikuwa tunazungumza na walimu. Of course ilikuwa lazima kuzungumza na walimu, na tulikuwa tunawauliza ni changamoto gani zinawafanya watoto wa kike wasitimize ndoto zao. Na tulikuwa tunazungumza na mwalimu, alikuwa ni academic master, na timu alikuwa wakaanza kuzungumzia masuala ya ICT. Yule mwalimu akamwambia nini? Akamwambia timu yangu, akamwambia mimi kwa akili zangu timamu siwezi kuhimiza mtoto wa kike asome masomo ya sayansi, kwa sababu akitoka hapa shule, ukweli ni kwamba huko kwenye makongamano yenu mnazungumzia sayansi, mnazungumzia tehama, lakini ukweli ni kwamba yule mtoto akitoka shuleni atakuwa na boyfriend. Baada ya kuwa na boyfriend atakuwa na mume. Yule mtoto wa kike kiukweli mazingira yetu na mifumo hayamsaidii yeye kutumia ile nguvu tuliyoweka nyuma yake ili succeed kwenye sayansi. Sasa kwa nini tupoteze muda wetu hapa? Na ilibidi tuchukue muda tupause. Kwa sababu mnatuita kwenye makongamano yetu, mnazungumza na sisi, lakini mwisho wa siku mnatupa bahasha zetu za brown, za kaki, tunaondoka zetu. Tunajaza form, tunaondoka zetu. Na tulizungumza na shule karibia 22 hapa Dar es Salaam, ilikuwa maeneo ya Kinondoni. Na over and over again history ilikuwa inajitokeza. Tukaanza kujiuliza maswali, hivi kwenye haya makongamano kweli tunazungumza tunawafikia wale ambao wana spend time na watoto wetu? Tulizungumza pia na wazazi. Nakumbuka tulizungumza na baba mmoja, huyu ndo baba alinitoa machozi, akaniambia, maana yake tulikuwa tunazungumza na watoto wa kike, wengi wao walituambia 98% walisema kwamba changamoto kubwa ambazo zinawafanya wasifikie ndoto zao au wasiwe na confidence, wasiweze kufikia hata ile sehemu ya kusema kwamba umenipatia fursa niitumie. Wanasema confidence yao inauawa majumbani. Sana sana aliyesemwa alikuwa ni mama pamoja na baba. Tukaita wazazi. Kwa mshtuko wetu tulipata baba wengi zaidi walikuja zaidi ya kina mama. 90% wa men. Baba mmoja akaniambia mwanangu, mtoto wangu anakuja kwangu nyumbani ananiambia kuhusu ndoto yake. Ananiambia nataka kuwa 1 2 3. Nikitoka hapa, huyo mtoto anategemea mimi kama mzazi nimpatie ushauri aende wapi. Mimi sijui wapi pa kumpeleka. Lakini mimi kama baba siwezi kumwambia hivyo. Nikimwambia hivyo mtoto wangu ataniona kama mimi sijui, ataanza kunidharau. So mimi kitu nitachokumwambia, wewe acha kunisumbua na mambo yako, kamwambie mama toka huko. Lakini namwambia hivyo nikijua dhahiri kwamba akienda huko nje atakutana mambo mengine, lakini mimi kulingana na jamii yetu ilivyoniposition mimi kama baba, ningefanya nini hapo? Maana mimi hizo network sina. So Rise Up ni mfumo ambao, au niseme ni app ambayo inamkutanisha mtoto wa kike na fursa. Kuna fursa aina 8. Ukiingia kwenye www.riseup.co.tz unakutana na fursa za kazi, internship, volunteer, grants, sponsorships na kadhalika. Lakini pia unakutana na community. Community ni jamii. Kitu kikubwa ambacho tulikuwa tunataka kutest 2017 mpaka 2019 ni nguvu ya jamii kumnyanyua mtu. Wote ambao tuko hapa tunajua kwamba kwa namna moja au nyingine networks ndio zimetunyanyua. Kuna ile siku ambao unataka kufanya kitu haujui nini cha kufanya, unataka kuulia, kuna mishahara inabidi ulipe mwisho wa mwezi, inabidi upige simu, nampigia Lili, jamani kwa kweli Lilian Madeje yule pale. Naambia Lili, kwa kweli hali imekuwa ngumu, tunafanya nini? Lakini unakuwa na wale watu ambao wanakunyanyua. So kwa namna moja au nyingine tulikuwa tunajaribu kutest nguvu ya community. Tukaanza kutumia kitu very simple, tukajaribu kutest kwenye WhatsApp. WhatsApp kitu tulikuwa tunafanya, tulikuwa tunatupa fursa, literally just opportunities, because one of the biggest things tulikuwa tumejifunza kwa watoto wa kike, walikuwa nasema hamna fursa, kama zipo ziko kwa watoto wa kiume, hamna fursa kwa watoto wa kike. So we started throwing in opportunities, about 44 a day. Tulikuwa tunazitupa tu. Community ilikuwa kuanzia, tulikuwa watu 25 ikaja mpaka 5,000 girls, 5,000 across Tanzania. Lakini kitu kikubwa tulikuwa tunakiona kwenye hizo platform ni kwamba watu walikuwa wananyanyuana. Kwa namna moja au nyingine mtu alikuwa anakuja kwenye ile platform anaanza kusema kwamba ninataka kufanya hiki lakini naogopa. Lakini ulikuwa unaona lile wimbi la watoto wa kike walikuwa wanakuja kumzingira. Unakosa nini? What do you need? Watu walikuwa wanasindikizana kwenda ku apply for jobs. Watu walikuwa wanasaidiana na nyanyuana. Na tulipata kuona between 2017 watu walikuwa tunatupa opportunities, tulikuwa tuna a 0.5 rate of watu ku uptake opportunities. Tulipofika 2019 ili Skype up to 64%. Watu wanapata opportunities, wanaziona na wanazitumia. Na kwa namna moja nyingine, so rise up ni opportunities, because unamwambia mtoto wa kike kwamba opportunities, fursa za kupata fedha. Kwa mfano tunasema kwamba nenda mtandaoni, kuna grants, kuna mikopo, nendeni mtandaoni, kuna habari nyingi sana. Lakini naanzaje, natafuta vipi?
Mtandao ni mpana.
Ni mpana sana, natafuta vipi? Je, najuaje kwamba nikienda huku sitanyanyasika? Maana yake tukubaliane kwamba kwa namna moja au nyingine kuna watu wengi wanaotumia mitandao ya kijamii kunyanyasa watoto wa kike. Kwamba unapata fursa, unaandika, una-apply, unaenda kule, mara unashikwa kwenye bega. Unashikwa begani. Hautaki, kwani nimekuomba unishike begani? Na kadhalika. So
Kalila muda, samahani. Naomba wrap up kwa sababu ninakuja na the last question.
Sawa.
No, naomba hapo. Changamoto ambazo zilizopo tayari umeshaziainisha wakati ulivyokuwa na nani. Ni nini ambacho tunatakiwa tufanye sasa ili tuweze kuimprove, tuweze kuboresha haya mazingira, tuweze kurahisisha upatikanaji wa taarifa? Na hapa tuko na watu wa wizara, tuko na wadau mbalimbali kutoka sekta binafsi na ya umma. What can we do moving forward?
I think kitu kikubwa, and exactly what I said in Rise Up, kitu kikubwa was creating a safe space ambao watu inaweza kucurate opportunities. Kwamba unavomwambia mtu aende sehemu kupata fursa, je, hizo fursa ni salama? Je, hizo fursa zimepitiwa? Je, hizo kampuni au hayo mashirika kwa namna moja au nyingine yanaweza kuwa yamekuwa vetted? Iko cha kwanza. Upande wa pili, kuna umuhimu mkubwa sana wa collaboration, because sasa hivi humu ndani kuna watu ambao kwa namna moja au nyingine wanatoa fursa tofauti, lakini kuzipata lazima niende kwako. Yani basically hamna sehemu moja ya kwenda kuweza kuelewa ninaweza kupata nini. So kitu ambacho mmezungumzia na iko hapo, mlisema mliita nini? Pipeline. Kwamba naweza kwenda sehemu moja, najua kabisa nikiwa hapa naweza nikaingia point A, nikapita point B, nikapita point C. Kuna ushindani mkubwa sana hata kwa wadau wa maendeleo kwenye upande wa hata kutoa fursa. Kuna shirika hili sitawataja maana yake wengine kuna shirika A linatoa fursa, shirika B linatoa fursa, shirika C linatoa fursa. Lakini hawa mashirika yenyewe kwa yenyewe yanagombana. Unaona, mnagombania yule entrepreneur. Mwisho wa siku naye mnamchanganya, na unakuta yule entrepreneur ataenda point A, atajifunza, ataingia kwenye accelerator program, atajifunza kile kwenye point B, atajifunza kile kwenye point C. Lakini kila mtu bado pia ana priorities zake. So kwa namna moja au nyingine tunachanganya wajasiriamali. Na kitu kikubwa kingine labda niseme, kuna umuhimu sana when we are creating these programs kufanya co-creation. Kwa kitu kikubwa, program nyingi sana ambazo tunazo Tanzania zimechukua mfumo wa quote and quote Silicon Valley. Tumekichukua kitu kule Ulaya, tumekileta hapa, tumesema kitafanya kazi. Mimi kama mama mwenye watoto 3, unaniambia nije programu usiku, mimi kwa kweli lazima niende nyumbani, labda ninyonyeshe, labda niende kupika. Kuna context ambao tukiwa tunatengeneza hizi fursa, tusizitengeneze au hizi programs za kuwanyanyua kuwapatia maarifa, tusizitengeneze wenyewe kwa wenyewe. Tuje kwa pamoja, tuseme okay, ni program gani imefanya kazi? Okay, kuna program hii labda ina kitu hiki, kwa namna gani tunaweza kutengeneza kitu kikubwa kikanyanyua wengi kwa wakati mmoja, instead of having the segmented efforts that we have.
Asante sana Alila. Umesema co-creation, umenigusa kwa kweli. Maana ni wimbo ambao tunajaribu kuimba, lakini sijui tunatumia maneno gani ambayo kama vile bado hawatusikii, lakini naomba tuendelee kuimba huo wimbo. CRDB, Imbeju, what can you tell the other corporations, wadau wengine wa sekta binafsi, ni vitu gani ambavyo wanaweza wakafanya zaidi? Sio kila mtu ambaye anaweza kaanzisha program kama Imbeju obviously, lakini ni kitu gani kingine ambacho kinaweza kikaakisi jitihada za maksudi ili kuweza kusukuma hili gurudumu mbele?
Thank you, Carol. Yes, there is a lot to be done out there. Like, I would like to strongly support what Ms. Kalila just spoke about right now. We just got into this space, the investment space for entrepreneurs. And there is still so much that can be done in this innovation space, tech space, or ICT. Maybe just to give you a little bit of context, when we called for application, we received over 700 applications.
Laki saba?
Yes. Wow. 700 applications.
Dear.
Mia saba.
Laki saba? Mia saba?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Mia saba. And we shortlisted to 196, and then shortlisted again to 50. So you can see there's still so many people out there who are in search for funding, who are in search for support in one way or the other. It could be capacity building or just somebody to hold their hand and show them the way. Because we could not take all of them. That's it, that's for sure. Because there are criteria, there was a process to go through, and then we could not take all of them. Now, I was even discussing this with Iku earlier on. Like, we really need to have a pipeline of support. One way or the other, somebody can know, if I do not make the cut here, where do I go? Okay? And then, where do I need to start? I should start here, and then go here, and then in the end, approach CRDB Foundation, join the Imbeju program. And then after there, for investment, maybe further investment, where do I go to? Or if I need to be connected with international investors, VCs, where do I go to? So I would like to urge other key stakeholders, other corporates, other private organizations, we need to hold each other's hands. We need to put inclusive efforts in supporting these entrepreneurs so that we can both promote the growth of innovation ecosystem in Tanzania. Because as we all know, the numbers or the history, Tanzania is still lagging behind when it comes to innovation, tech, or ICT in general. And of course, we're led by our neighboring countries, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa. Why? Why is that? We need to do more. But before, one more thing, I would like to just emphasize the seed capital that we provide as CRDB Bank Foundation through the Imbeju program is interest-free. Because when you're in Gwenu, you listen like, yeah, that's a loan. Is there interest rate? No, it's interest-free. There's only upfront 7% commission fee that one has to pay for insurance.
How much? Sorry, how much?
7%.
7%. Asilimia saba.
Yes, asilimia saba. That we cut from the beginning so that we can be able to support the other services. But also, one other important thing, there are specific Imbeju accounts that were created. Easy Imbeju accounts specifically for businesses, business owners, either women or startups. So these accounts also have zero interest. I mean, hazina makato na benefits nyingine mbalimbali kama life insurance, and there is no incumbent, a lot of processes to open. So they are specifically to support the businesses or support the growth of startup businesses na biashara nyingine za wanawake na wanazozifanya. Yes, thank you very much.
Asante sana, Sharon. Now,
all you can do is just visit any branch and ask to open an Imbeju account. It's free of charge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nimekuachia uongee kwa sababu wewe ndo mwenye mapesa, lakini sasa naomba dakika moja kwa wote mliobakia because nimeshapata message hapa matumbo yananguruma. Iku, karibu. Ndoto Hub. Kwanza naomba jamani tuwapigie makofi Ndoto Hub, please. Nimesema hivyo kwa sababu wengi wetu huwa tunaanziaga Dar es Salaam hizi taasisi lakini Ndoto Hub iliazimia na ikasema no, sisi tutatoka nje ya Dar es Salaam, na sasa hivi wako Dar es Salaam na Arusha. Kwa hiyo hongereni kwa hilo, lakini vile vile utumalizie changamoto tumezisikia, fursa nyingine ulizitaja, tunatoka wapi sasa, tunaelekea wapi na tufanyeje?
That's a tough one. So mimi nilitaka kuongelea kwa sababu tuko kwenye panel ambayo leo tuko tunaongelea fursa za rasilimali fedha hususan kwa wanawake ambao wako kwenye tehama. Na nataka kuongea labda kutoka kwenye point of view ya elimu, ambapo nataka ku-highlight changamoto kubwa tulionayo. Kwa sababu leo tukiongelea wanawake katika tehama ambao tayari wana practice, tunaongelea pengine 27% au 30% ya wanawake waliomaliza form 4, walioenda chuo, and then they're practicing. So kuna changamoto kubwa katika elimu yetu, jinsi gani tunaweza kuhakikisha kwanza wanawake wanaingia katika huu mfumo wa tehama au mfumo wa sayansi kwa ujumla. Lakini cha pili ni narrative. The narrative ambayo tunataka kuongea what men can do, women can do better is not the right narrative. Tunachotaka ambacho natamani wote tuondoke nacho leo ni kwa nini tunafikiria tunamhitaji mwanamke? Ultimate goal ni nini? What's that big picture vision ni nini for the country? Kama tunaangalia ni uchumi wa nchi, basi ni namna gani kila mtu aweze kushiriki katika huo uchumi kuzalisha ili tufikie Tanzania tunayoitaka. So tusiondoke hapa kwamba kuna fursa ipo kama amepewa mwanaume na mwanamke apewe, lakini iwe ni fursa ambayo include kila mmoja. Haijalishi, nilipenda sana Esther alisema haijalishi ni mwanamke, nina uwezo niweze kushiriki. Haijalishi nina abilities tofauti au abilities sawa, yani wote tuweze kushiriki. Hicho ndo kwangu naona ni cha muhimu sana. Na sio kumweka on the spot Dr. Nkundwe, lakini tungependa kama ICT Commission pia tujaribu kuangalia haya. Tujaribu kuangalia kama washikadau au mlioshikilia, wanasema walioshikilia mpini, sio kwenye makala, wameshika mpini, walioshika mpini. Ni namna gani tunakuwa na uwanda wa teknolojia ambao unaweza kumuinclude kila mtu. Hicho ni ombi, na labda isiwe, yani natamani sio mwakani tena tuje tukae tuanze kudiscuss changamoto hizi za wanawake sio wamefanya hivi, lakini how do we move from here and start talking about the ecosystem, the ICT ecosystem that's inclusive for everyone, irrespective of gender, irrespective of the abilities that we have or we don't have. Kwa hiyo kwangu ingekuwa ndio rai yangu.
Asante sana Iko. Ola, PLP, what can we do going forward?
Am I live? Oh, I'm live. Okay. So I strongly resonate with most of the points that have been raised here. Na rai langu goes out to two different categories that we deal with directly. One is the women themselves. So at Powerland Project, we offer fully funded scholarships kujifunza masuala ya software development. Now, Iku, you mentioned kwamba some times ago you wanted to venture into a different direction. Excuse me, but life took you on a different path. Now, even with the university system here, is that you might want to go to university to study anything related to tech. Excuse me, my cold has decided. So, the university system would decide to pick a different course than what you would have loved to venture in. So what Powerland Project comes to do is that it now offers you...
What is happening?
I think it's from here.
Okay.
So what Powerland Project does is that it provides an avenue for all tech enthusiasts, and especially the youths that have not had an opportunity to venture into tech. You wanted to venture into tech, you wanted to build a startup, a solution, hujui pa kuanzia. So we give you that leeway, that window to enter into tech. Now, sisi ni kama wajenzi. We're building the solution, the startup. Kwa tuna build ilo jengo, linafika mpaka mwisho. Now we are looking for wapangaji au watu wakuje sasa kuinvest kwenye hilo jengo. And that's where, organizations like CRDB and the Embed You program come in. And, I'm also very passionate when it comes to partnerships, co-curations, and collaboration. Kwa sababu I came to realize we're all speaking the same language, but, in different fonts and, different tonations.
Yeah.
Kwa hivyo, kwa mfano, the ladies that are here, we are all keyed towards the same objective. Yeah. We are also speaking to the same group. Tunaongelea vijana, wanawake. So, if that pipeline tunaiongelea and we're so much tunaililia, if we started the groundwork ourselves, then I believe, 3-5 years from now, we'd be on this similar platform.
Yeah.
Tunasema, I was working with Halila, we've built something, we have a tool, we plugged into what you're doing, and mambo yanaenda. So I'm hoping that funding is going to be the least of our issues in the future and more the tech part. So
I love that.
That's it.
Asante.
Also, lastly,
Yeah.
kama kuna mtu yote who's interested also into breaking into tech na anapenda kujifundisha masuala yote ya software development, you could be the next person building up a platform kama the app that Halila has spoken about. Yeah. You can log on to powerlandproject.org na ukajifunza everything to do about the scholarship and how you can also get into the space.
Brilliant. Mimi ningeomba pia ICT Commission kama mnaweza mka take note ya hizi fursa zote, and hopefully kutokana na ile registration documents tulizokuwa tuna sign pale, mkatumia zile emails ambazo tumewekea kutusukumia sasa hizi fursa ambazo wanasema mnaweza mkaingia kwenye website hii ili kuzipata. Nafikiri itakuwa rahisi zaidi. Dr. Nkundo nawasilisha. Karibu Vanessa.
Asante. First of all, I'm literally holding my e-residency card from Estonia. So the reason...
E-residency.
E-residency. So the reason why I actually carried this ni kwa sababu when we speak of ICT, I may take a bit of 2 minutes, but when we speak of tech startups or ICT startups rather, tusiangalie sana nyumbani, na si maanishi vibaya, lakini I think ata Dr. Mosaga spoke of this before. Tanzania has over half population ni wanawake. Our entrepreneurship landscape, 62% ni women. Now the tech part is an issue. It's a different issue. Lakini kama tukiangalia kwamba tech inakuja kama platform for us to access the global market, it's better. It puts us in a much more better platform. And linking to what our president has been doing, insisting that we're not an island and we're able to work with other countries, entrepreneurship and technology can be a good place for us to source, or rather to increase economic empowerment of our communities if women are exposed to these opportunities. So knowing things like e-residency platform with Estonia, knowing different platforms that are happening and events that are happening in other regions where entrepreneurs can have access to, even online, it's much easier. Maybe nawasilisha pia, sharing those would be much easier. Like, and also one of the ways we personally have been working is that after we're able to do what we can do, because we can stretch ourselves so far, we've been able to try our best to form the ecosystems, like work with different partners. So, for instance, this year during the Funguo, we asked Funguo people to come to our community and speak to, we handpicked businesses that at least relate to what they need. And that's how we work even with global VCs. We link them with global VCs. I've been to Nigeria this year twice, Kenya. All of this I am doing is to create a network there where some of my entrepreneurs can actually have access to global market, because then they can return money back home. Because if this one doesn't rise, tutapiga kelele hapa, and then tunajua familia zetu za Kiafrika, 1 person, 10 people behind you. So at least mwache ainuke, hata kama atainukia another country, ataleta vitu back home. And then the last thing rather ni a sense of what we're doing. I think imesemwa sana, and I love this. The sense of what we're doing to be connected. Lakini let's also agree kwamba we are growing. The resources bado ni constrained. These things are still new. Angel investment. Our landscape of investment is still to be worked on. We're talking about startup policy at the moment. So there are a lot of things. So ability also ini kuwasilisha kwa government. Ability to be flexible enough kuallow hizi investment opportunities zisinyonye sana investors na zisinyonye sana entrepreneurs, kwa sababu kama nani ya kufungua biashara tu inanirequire a lot of my taxes and a lot of processes, while I can open a business somewhere else. I can literally register through NORA-Base, register a startup in Delaware for $380, and I get my TIN, I get all of these things. Isn't nazishare kama information, so you can actually go and take these opportunities. you can actually go and check of those opportunities. Lakini sasa zinaondoa opportunities nyumbani. So sisi na wenyewe inabidi tutengeneze infrastructures that can allow our entrepreneurs to be able to expand that much. Now, please expose the last as an entrepreneur kama mwanamke. Naomba uji expose to what is out there. I started with, I've done ethical hacking, so my background is in tech. I wanted to actually kufanya kazi usalama, if I can say that. I wanted to be a hacker, like FBI and all of that. No. But that rolled me, and then I ran a travel tech startup. So I started as an entrepreneur, which exposed me to all of these things. So please expose yourself to as much platforms as possible. Yani, enda ukutane na watu tofauti, jifunze tofauti, tumia mtandao vizuri. Have enough knowledge to be able to connect yourself with people. Hizi opportunities nyingine tunafikirigi ni hela. I can tell you there are so many opportunities that opened for me. I didn't put money, but because I was in the room, an opportunity opened and somebody took care of that. And that's what I wish most of us women are able to boldly do. Yeah, just to conclude on that.
Asanteni sana jamani, kama mlivyoona tumekuja kufukuzwa. Lakini tutoe shukrani za dhati kabisa kwa kutupa nafasi hii, na naomba personally nikiruhusiwa niwakaribishe wote kwenye kongamano la wanawake na teknolojia. Ningependa kuona hii panel na wengine wengi humu ndani wakishiriki mwezi wa 3, na tuendelee. Push for progress, yeah? We keep pushing, yes? Okay, thank you so much. A group photo, please.
A round of applause for the panelists and the panel moderator. Makofi mengi sana kwao. A full-fledged women panelist kama ile ya kwanza. Women rules, eh? Hongereni sana na asanteni sana kwa mazungumzo yenu mazuri kabisa. Naomba tuwapigie tena makofi wakienda kukaa tafadhali. Thank you, Dada Caro, for keeping the time. Now, tuko tayari kwa ajili ya lunch, lakini kabla ya kula lunch nina matangazo mawili matatu. Tangazo la kwanza, kuna gari namba T708. T708 EOQ limewekwa mahali ambapo tenti la exhibition ndio linawekwa. Sasa mpaka sasa hivi limeshindwa tenti kuwekwa kwa sababu ya ulipopaki. Kwa hiyo tafadhali, sitaki kukutisha kwamba gari yako imevunjwa au nini, lakini tungeomba ukasogeze gari ili tuweze kuweka tenti la exhibition. Secondly, before we proceed for lunch, we encourage you to continue registration for tomorrow event. You can do it online at TAIC, www.taic@ictc.go.tz. You can do so also for the Wednesday event, which is the main event. So kindly continue to register, and the cards, the digital cards for identification for your presence here will be issued this afternoon. We might not have exactly the Estonia e-residence, but we are going to have our own ICTC e-card. So please make sure you register as soon as possible. Now, we are behind schedule for 2 hours. Don't worry, we'll leave before midnight here today, so don't worry. So please, we are going for